All right, let me do one more thing, and then I will. Let me share the agenda. That'll be a better way of doing it. Okay, there you go. Perfect. So I'll bring this back here. Okay. All right. Well, we can get going because I'm recording, so it should work as intended. Let's see how it looks. Let me see if I can. I want to make sure that I pin. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Hello. So I think we're good to go, right, Rania?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So my name is. So I guess I'll kick off the introduction. My name is Basil Ismail. I'm the CEO and founder of Blockcircle. And we're just starting with Rania now, Blockcircle MENA, which is like focusing on Middle East and North Africa. And what we're doing with Blockcircle and what we're building and what we've been doing since 2017 is basically we help crypto investors find projects as early as possible that seem to be undervalued. So we find projects that seem to be promising, that seem to have real value, and we have our Alpha Hunter suite that does different things to be able to find projects as quickly as possible after launch. Right? That's literally as simple as in one sentence. That's what we do. My background is in data science and product engineering and financial engineering. That's where I've spent the most of my career. Was in corporate America before we started Blockcircle. And so I used to work for Scotiabank in Canada, and then Yahoo, and then I worked at Goldman Sachs in New York. So I used to work in corporate expense management, and then I worked at American Express for a long time, leading a data science team. And that really was like the perfect background for pursuing crypto, because crypto is like mathematics with data science and information security, and it's all mixed together into one composite. So that's why I've been completely obsessed with the sector. I've been an investor for almost 10 plus years at this point. And yeah, I mean, so we're just really proud of what we built with Blockcircle. And to me, I'm really glad with everything that's come together. It's coming together really nicely. So Rania, do you wanna go ahead?
Well, most of the people here know me already, but anyways, I don't come from this data science background. I had a completely different background, F&B and sports industry. And then like all the Lebanese during the financial crisis, we kind of lost 80-90% of our wealth or our cash in the banks. And that kind of flipped me off, that I don't have control over my own money. And actually, that's what drove me to go enter crypto. At least there, it was where my money, my wallet, my decisions. So might as well be accountable and responsible of my wealth. Of course, I just entered it recently, a couple of years ago. So I had to navigate a lot of things. I entered a bunch of groups. I tried to learn as much as possible. The first thing for me is if you have the right community to support you and help you, and that's no chill or no FUD or no, then you actually go faster. And it's a place that I kind of found myself. If someone's about to lose my money, might as well be me. Or if someone's going to make my money, might as well be me too. So I think I joined Blockcircle about a year ago, and then just the community is just so amazing. Basil is probably the smartest guy I've met so far in the past 4 years in crypto, and I really hope you ask all the questions because he's very patient and he will teach you everything like no one else. So the floor is yours, Basil.
Thank you, Rania. So I think what the first thing I wanted to do is I just want to get an idea of like who we have, on. So I can see that there's a few people who've never done on-chain trading, and I would assume that some people have never set up a wallet. So I think we'll probably start very slow just to get going for the first few minutes, and then I'll just do an overview, and then we can go into like the more details, right? But basically, what we've been focusing on since the beginning is like really on-chain. So on-chain trading like began in 2017, and that's something that we've been like just obsessed about because clearly that is the future. So I'll give you like a quick primer. So right now, crypto, like people buying, Bitcoin and buying Ethereum, buying Solana, generally how people do it is they go into Coinbase.com or they go to Binance.com or they go to a centralized exchange. And then you have to set up your account. You have to go through the KYC process where you're verifying your identity. And after that is done, then you can buy crypto, right? And it's a really long, like arduous process. It takes time and you have to give up all your privacy. It's very frustrating. But that's how it's done. That's how it's been done for the longest time. Just like you trying to buy stock in any company, you have to use Fidelity Investments or you use iTrade or E-Trade or Interactive Brokers. Those are all the different stock, software stock platforms that you can buy, companies with, right? But you have to give up your identity. You have to show them your identity. You have to show them your passport. You have to show them your driver's license. You have no control over the information that you're sharing, right? So that's all off-chain trading. So it's not actually processing the buys and sells on the blockchain, right? So what I'm focusing on and what Adanya is focusing on a lot of her time is on-chain. So that's the next iteration, right? It's the next evolution of crypto. And to me, it's close to its full form. So in other words, it's clearly the future. We're extremely early. I think most people are just using on-chain for trying to speculate on things, like gambling on coins. But that is not the real use case. The real use case is quite extensive, and there's clearly a huge amount of technological progress that's being made here. So what an example of on-chain is you being able to literally buy and sell a coin on-chain. So it's you going, and if you want to buy a particular coin on the Solana blockchain, for example, you can do that, and you can do that using a browser, right? And the way you would do that is you need to get funds in your wallet. And how you get funds in your wallet is you have to set up a wallet called MetaMask, right? And it could be MetaMask, it could be Phantom, it could be any type of software wallet is how you would get up and running. So the biggest one, the most popular one is called MetaMask. And you just go to metamask.io. And you go to metamask.io and you just install an extension on your browser. So it's very straightforward. It's very simple. I use Google Chrome. So you would just use Google Chrome and then you install the extension called MetaMask. And then when you do it, it'll ask you, are you ready to go? And then you say yes. And then you say, you want to name the wallet? You say yes. And then it's going to give you a private key. And then that private key is essentially your password. And that password allows you to access that wallet. It's as simple as that. It's not more complicated than that. And then once you do that, all you would do is you withdraw from your Binance account or your Coinbase account directly to that wallet, right? So that's how it works. And that's it. That is literally, you can go to Binance, you can go to any crypto account that you have, right? So Binance, or you can go to Kraken. And these are the three biggest platforms around the world. And once you do that, you withdraw from those exchanges directly to your wallet. Okay, so it's literally as simple as that. Is you're withdrawing from your exchange to your soft wallet. So before
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I? Or
Yeah,
it's at
please.
the end the Q&A?
No. Please, I want you to ask. Please ask as much as you want.
So you're saying it's an on-chain, so it's within this network of transaction, right?
Yes, exactly. So
There's something called off-chain.
yes.
What are you saying on?
So
There's something
basically,
called off-chain. Okay.
so everything that's being done on Coinbase and everything that's being done on Binance and everything that's being done on Kraken is off-chain. So because they themselves control the apps centrally. They're controlling all the orders, they're controlling all the trades, they're controlling all the order books, right? And when I say order books, I'm talking about the buy and sell side of transactions, right? So
Binance and these guys are off-chain.
Yeah, that's all off-chain.
So there's no auditing on them. We don't know if they're treacherous or they're not being very straightforward.
Exactly.
Remember when the Poker Stars, there was an algorithm to the software And you know what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah.
what you see usually is not your reality.
That's
How can you make sure this is your reality?
100%. So like the Coinbase itself is publicly traded, right? And Binance is also publicly traded, but Coinbase as an account itself is it's still publicly traded in the US. So obviously it needs to be able to pass like a certain level of audit. But at the same time, you don't exactly know what's going on with them. Like you don't know what they're transacting, what they're doing. You don't know whether or not they are making up transactions, or if there's people who are like whales who are moving the prices of different things. Like Coinbase itself and Binance and Kraken, those are the three safest because they're regulated, they're licensed, and they're insured, right? So they usually are generally clean, but still you have whales who are market makers, right? People who are going in and they're controlling the order book. So they go in and they're adding a huge amount of fake volume into specific cryptos to be able to inflate the price or deflate the price. And that to me that's textbook market manipulation, right? And that still happens. Like despite the fact that these three exchanges are regulated, licensed, and insured, you still have a huge amount of market manipulation and price weaving and price movement that is like extreme. So, but in on-chain you have that, but at least in on-chain you know exactly what's happening. It's completely transparent, right? It's in front of you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. Any other questions? We want to take it slow. So MetaMask again is one example of one wallet. Another wallet that you could set up if you want to have access to Solana blockchain, for example, is called Phantom. Phantom I like. Phantom, I think to me is very simple. It's very user friendly, and it's very straightforward to set up. Like you just go into phantom.com and you click download for Chrome. It goes and tells you, do you want to add it to Chrome? You say add to Chrome, and then you have the wallet, right? It's not any more complicated than that, right? So, and then the wallet looks like what you're seeing. Like it's as simple as that. It's very, very clean. The problem with these wallets though, is you have to be extremely careful because they're easy to hack, right? So Korania and I, we were just experiencing. So if your computer itself is compromised in any way, you're going to get hacked. And if you get hacked, then your wallets are at risk of being wiped out, right? Because these are browser wallets. So if you have browser wallets, then there's a very bad risk of it being hacked, right? And if it gets hacked, then you're going to lose everything.
So what do you and Rania use, for example?
So I'll show you now. So so Phantom, for example, I use, but I see I don't have much on here. This is just like our Blockcircle global wallet. But I use Phantom. I use every wallet, right? I use Phantom. I use MetaMask, and then Rania likes the OKX wallet. And then
I
there's
have Phantom though, but I do use the OKX because it's just a multi-chain wallet and it's just so much easier because it's directed into its own DEX.
Yes.
I think I would do the same thing. I got him into it. He loves it.
The OKX.
Yeah, you get basically it allows you to buy any token on any blockchain. It really is just very accessible to everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's safe from hackers?
I mean, no. So none of these wallets are safe at all. So I would be extremely careful with using and trusting any of these wallets because the problem is if your computer is attacked or hacked in any way, compromised in any way whatsoever, then all of these wallets are at risk of being wiped out, right? So you can see, for example, the ones that I use are like, Argent X or like Argent X. But when I'm not using it, I immediately disable it, right? Same thing with the Coinbase wallet, the same thing with Backpack, because sometimes some wallets don't work with some applications or some exchanges. So then what I do is I disable them, right? But sometimes there's some blockchains that are not compatible with some wallets. So if I want to use the Cosmos blockchain, and let's say I'm farming for airdrops, which basically means that I like to interact with new blockchains, and I like to just process transactions on those blockchains, because then it puts me in a position that in the future I'll be able to hopefully get a reward for being an early user, being an early adopter. And that reward could be a lot. It can be anywhere from $20 to $20,000, right? The airdrop farming is like a gigantic, potentially very attractive, reward to risk, right? But so like Leap. So if I want to interact with the Cosmos blockchain, I have to use Leap, right? I have to use Martian if I want to work with the Aptos blockchain, which is slowly dying. And then so there's different wallets, but the ones that are the most commonly used, I would say, is Rabby. Rabby wallet is very, very good because it has a lot of protection in it to make sure that you don't get front run. So I'll explain what that is later. MetaMask and Phantom. I think to get started, I would just probably set up Phantom. That's probably more than enough. And then once you have Phantom, look what you have access to. You have access to Solana. You can't see that. Let me try to show you. I'll try to show you a screenshot. And then I'll try to show this as a, let me see how I can do this. Here. I'll do one more here. Yeah, that'll be the good way of doing it. Like this. You can see that, right? So this is the Phantom wallet. And then you can see that if I take a screenshot, is that going to work? Yeah, that should work. Perfect. So see, Phantom gives me access to Solana. It gives me access to Ethereum, the Monad testnet. So Monad testnet is a perfect example of airdrop farming. I'm farming Monad as a blockchain, right? And again, all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to interact with the blockchain to be able to give me early user, early adopter role, like as a special tag. And if I get that role or special tag, then when they do go public, then I will get a pretty significant reward, right? And it's just an airdrop farming reward, right? But what I wanted to show you is these, right? These blockchains. So you have Solana, Ethereum, Monad, Base, Sui, Polygon, and Bitcoin. So this covers 7+ blockchains, right? So this is really, really powerful wallet. But also the risk with this is that it's powerful, but then it also is like a huge target for being hacked. So I don't like to keep significant amount of funds on these wallets. Like my limit is usually like $3,000, $4,000 maximum, right? Up to 10,000 absolute maximum. And it's the same rule with exchanges. I don't keep more than 10,000 on any exchange. Like that is like my absolute limit. So, and the only reason I would even keep anything on an exchange is because if I'm just the only way to be able to sometimes buy certain tokens, and I need to buy it on an exchange, and I need to deposit funds, buy the token, and then withdraw it, right? So but that's basically what I do. That's how I'm doing it. Any other questions? Like, please ask. So I want this to be like interactive. I just want to make sure we're all at the same level before we move forward,
I'm the only one asking. I
Yeah, no, please do. Thank you, Maya. Please.
This is Ahmed. I just want to ask, is the Ledger wallet the same?
Yeah, so, okay. So let's do it that way. So basically, you see where I have it in here. So the wallets that I was just talking about are just software wallets. They're just soft wallets, hot wallets, right? Which means that you can access the private key. And if you have the private key, you can essentially have access to the entire asset, right? But the hardware wallet itself is considered like Ledger, right? And so I'll show you an example. So we actually have this course too. I probably should have spent like a minute showing you a little bit of what we do. But we have this course on Blockcircle, and in Blockcircle, it covers, there's a whole section on wallets that I did. Here, so introduction to wallet security and revoking smart contract permission. So in that, and this one. So if you go to this particular, I'll post it in the chat. If you go to this one lesson, I posted it in the chat now. So what it shows you is it shows you what Ledger is as an example. So Ledger is an example of a cold wallet. Everything I was showing you is a hot wallet, but Ledger is an example of a cold wallet. Ledger, Trezor, these are the two that I like to use. I've used Grid Plus and SafePal and Keystone before, but I just personally, I like the Ledger and I like Trezor. But Ledger itself, don't forget, has been hacked. The company itself has been hacked. I'm just trying to turn on the light. There you go. Ledger itself has been hacked in the past, but it's still one of the safest wallets because it's one of the originals. The same thing with Trezor, right? Yeah. What does that answer your question, Ahmed?
Yeah, it does. I just want to know, can I do like a blockchain on a Ledger wallet?
Yes. So that's what I do for like some of my larger positions is I'll connect Ledger to MetaMask, or I connect Ledger to my Phantom wallet, right? But
okay, so you're basically transferring from Ledger to the MetaMask or whatever app you're using, right?
So I'm using Ledger to be able to hold the funds, and then all I'm using MetaMask and Phantom for is to just be an interface, to then interact with the decentralized exchange like Uniswap or Raydium or PumpSwap and so forth, right? So these are just interfaces, MetaMask and Phantom, and so they're just interfaces, just like a user interface, a face for the Ledger wallet to interact with the decentralized exchange.
All right, thank you. I got you.
So it's safe. It's safe that way because then you have to physically press the button. I, Basil, accept this transfer or this token buying to another wallet, right? Or to another decentralized exchange, right? So you physically have to keep confirming one by one. So that's the safest and the cleanest way of doing, on-chain trading. Maya, you had a question. Please go ahead.
No, I'm trying just to understand the setup. So basically your wallet is like, let's say in reality, a physical wallet where you keep your money in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have the online and offline wallet, the soft and hard.
Yeah.
The soft being connected to the internet, the hard being offline. That's
exactly
right? That's understood?
That's exactly how you got it.
So if I decide to keep my money in the hard wallet, and how do I connect it to the internet? Or is there like a way to connect it?
So how you do it? So I'll give you an example. So you basically have a Ledger wallet itself that you plug into the computer using a USB plug, and then you go into a software called Ledger Live, and then that Ledger Live software allows you to be able to use that wallet as safely on a computer, and you need to be able to connect it to the internet. That's the only way to be able to.
Okay, got it. Okay.
But at least it's connected to the internet, but nothing is leaving that wallet unless you explicitly, manually, with your hand, click the approve button, and it shows up on the screen what exactly you are giving it permission to do, right? And it'll say, do you, Maya, approve transferring 1 Bitcoin from this wallet to another wallet, right? And if you click yes, it'll then say, are you sure that you want to do this transfer to this wallet? And it shows you the address, right? So it's a lot less likely to be scammed that way. Versus hot wallet. Like, look at the hot wallet, Maya. I can literally just open it now and I could transfer. Like right now, what I was just showing you, I can go into my MetaMask and you have access now to everything. I could just say send, and you have access to everything here. That's the problem, right? That's a huge risk. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. So yeah, I don't use MetaMask and Phantom a lot for large amounts, just small amounts, just to get to be able to farm for airdrops, do a few test transfers, test transactions for research. For like real buying and selling, I'll always use Ledger. And Ledger is only like $100. Like, it's not, the Ledger Nano S is very good, and then the Trezor is very good. Those two are, I think, all you need to get started, and get going. Okay, any other questions? No? Okay. But basically that's how you get like the wallet set up, right? That's like the first part. Is like, what is on-chain trading? We talked about it. How do you access it? We talked about it. What is a smart contract? What are blockchain explorers? Like, it's important that I explain this to you before we jump into proper on-chain trading, because otherwise it just wouldn't make any sense. So like, what is a smart contract? Think of it as, what you would think normally if you're buying a house, you have to sign a contract, right? You have to sign like a deed of trust. You have to sign that I am buying this house for this price and this address, and these are like the terms and conditions of the contract, right? It's very simple and very cut and dry. But when you're talking about what a smart contract is, it's a contract that can have different parameters attached to it, and it's all posted to the blockchain. So it can never be changed again, right? Generally, it can never be changed again. So every single time that you're trading on chain, you are interacting with a smart contract. So the reason why I spend the majority of my time is on smart contract is because all of the scams and hacks usually happen because of a smart contract that has holes in it, that has like security concerns or security risks that most people don't understand or don't appreciate, right? And that's, if you want to avoid scams, then you really need to learn how to understand what a smart contract is. So we'll go through that. And then what are blockchain explorers? So how do you actually see the blockchain transactions is you use a blockchain explorer. So like an example of a blockchain explorer is Etherscan. So this one is etherscan.io. And this is how you go and you look at the Ethereum blockchain, right? Another one is SolScan. So if I want to look at the Solana blockchain, I would go to SolScan. And you can see everything here. You can see what the total amount of supply for the Solana token is. You can see how many transactions have been processed, right? Which is 417 billion. You can see how much is being staked, which basically means how much is being locked away to help secure the Solana blockchain and the Solana network. And you can see all of the recent transactions one by one. So you see exactly what they are. So it shows you transaction details. Somebody bought, they bought 15 cents worth of this particular coin called NFT, right? NFT fart tech. It's fun. So yeah, NFT fart tech on Pump Fund. And it shows you. So there's no tampering with this, right? It's on the blockchain to never be changed again. So that's the beauty of these blockchain explorers, is it allows you to see everything and everyone. You can even go to Etherscan and you can look at the top tokens. You can see how many people are holding it. You can see everything that you would possibly need to know. So I know that, for example, for Tether, which is like the largest stablecoin in the world, which is the largest like dollar-backed token in the world, right? 1-to-1. So $1 in the US is equal to $1 in USDT, right? It's just a Tether coin. It has 7.8 million holders, right? So there's 7.8, almost 8 million people in crypto that are holding at least $1 worth of USDT, right? And if I want to see who those people are, I can go in here, I can click it, and then I can go into the holders and I could see exactly who's holding this and how much are they holding of, right? So the number one holder is Binance Hot Wallet, right? Another Binance wallet, the top four are all Binance. And they're all holding 10 billion, 6 billion, 4.3 billion, 2.2 billion, right? So just Binance alone is holding almost $20 billion worth of a coin that's worth 155 billion. Like, just think about it.
Isn't this bad? I mean, like,
Yeah.
if they hold most of they will do a monopoly. I mean, they can control the value of the coin. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
not really, right?
Yeah, where have you been, Maya? Like, I feel like we've missed you. I'm just happy. I'm really happy you joined. You're amazing. No, that's exactly the problem.
I'm gonna hand over everything to Maya, but
No.
I'm done with this.
Well, that's why I see. I understand why you married her, man. You married a brainiac, a Lebanese brainiac. But no, but this is exactly the point. What you said is exactly the problem, because it's not Binance customers. It's Binance customer wallets, obviously, but Binance can disappear tomorrow. And we would never hear from them again. And they've just left with $20+ billion worth of stable coins. And there's no there's nothing you can do about it because it's not headquartered in the US, Canada, France, Germany. It's not headquartered in any of the G20 countries. It's headquartered in some, now they're moving everything to United Arab Emirates, but and a lot of them were headquartered in the US Virgin Islands or Seychelles, right?
Okay.
Or Tenerife, like these obscure locations that you have no legal recourse. Right? That's like the challenge, right?
So it would be more interesting to trade such a coin than to invest it on the long term, like other solid coins. For such a coin, for example, we have to see who ranks and who gets the most percentage of that coin, and analyze whether we trade it or we sit on it within years or whatever until things get better.
I think it's just better to honestly, and I mean this respectfully, because I know a lot of the people, even in Blockcircle itself, they own exchanges, right? They're the founders of platforms, the founders of different coins. I just personally would just avoid centralized exchanges, right? Like I think that's like my general word of caution, and my general suggestion is to avoid exchanges and try to stick to on-chain trading, right? And you see that everything that we have in Blockcircle here, this is just the Blockcircle Alpha community. It's the Discord, right? That we post all of our trades, we post all of our community trades, we post our market analysis, we post everything that we need to be able to get like a quick, complete global holistic perspective on the world of crypto and digital assets. We post it here. And you'll see I've posted about this like 100+ times, is do not trust exchanges and do not trust hot wallets. Those are the two things I always say. And like, I think Rania wants to like strangle me how many times I repeat. It's like, these are scams. You need to try to avoid putting too much money on these platforms, no matter what, because I've seen so many disappear. So many of them go from $100 all the way to literally 20, 30, $40 billion market valuations. And then suddenly overnight they disappear. And it's like the complete rug pull. You have millions of customers that get hacked. Look what happened at FTX. FTX had $20 billion of customer funds, and it was all multi-level fraud, right? And none of those people have gotten their money back. None of those people. To this day, they still have not gotten their full share back, right? And there's at least 100+ examples of exchanges that I can share with you that have all gone under. So these exchanges have a really hard job of surviving. But the ones I like, again, are Coinbase and Kraken. Like those are the only two that I use to move money off chain and to move it back to my normal bank account, right? Because that's the problem. Everything we're talking about with on-chain is all on-chain, but you still need the money, right? You still need the US or Canadian dollars or the euros. You need them off the blockchain. You need them in actual currency. And the only way to do that today, now, is to use some type of centralized service, right? So yeah, hopefully that gives you some context, But there's nothing wrong with buying crypto and then holding it on a Ledger wallet. Like that's safe and that's clean and that's good. Because the Ledger, if you look at how many stable coins there are right now in the whole sector, there's 200 billion. Like that is literally what this chart shows you, is there's $200 billion of US dollars just sitting idle, right? In crypto, waiting to be used. So think about that. That is a huge amount that's $250 billion that has entered crypto over the course of the last 10 years, right? And that's how much people are trusting on-chain holding of funds. So you should be generally safe, with a hardware wallet or cold wallet. Okay, so let's keep moving. Now, what are the risks, opportunities we talked about, right? I mean, the fact that on-chain to me is clearly the future. There's a huge amount of movement away from on-chain to off-chain to on-chain. You see that, right? And you see that with everything. So even if I go to DeFi, I'll show you. If I go to DeFi Llama, and if you go to DeFi Llama and then go to, just stick right to the main page and you click DEX's volume. Let me zoom in so you can see it better. There. So you could see that if I just focus on the last, right here. So you could see that overall, the just stick like this. So this is the amount of decentralized exchange volume since the beginning of on-chain, right? So let's say from like 2021 to now, we're still well over like 20 billion, right? And we started initially at like less than a billion. Now it's at 20 billion. So it's grown 20 times in the last 5 years, which is massive, right? Clearly more and more and more people are using on-chain to be able to just swap, buy, invest, use the applications, speculate on different blockchains, farm for airdrops, just grow the ecosystems. So to me, this is clearly, there's no question that this is the future, right? And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for like part one. Are there any questions on that so far? Or is that all clear? No? Okay. So what else? Now, the other thing I want to show you is I just want to show you how to connect to an actual, decentralized exchange. So like examples of decentralized exchange, and like we have this in the course as well, is Uniswap, Raydium. Those are different decentralized exchanges that are the most commonly used. And basically, the ones that we focus on for like Ethereum is Uniswap. The ones that we focus on in Solana is Raydium and Jupiter. And but the ones that I really think that the easiest way to get started is not even to use those directly, is to just go into an aggregator. And what an aggregator is, think of it as it's one app that brings all the different exchanges and apps together into one interface, right? Into one view. That is it. And an example of that is like DEXScreener. So DEXScreener allows you to just access any coin on really virtually any blockchain that you would ever want, right? And that's what it is. So it's called a trading terminal. And in the course, like I walk through exactly how to use the trading terminals and how to get started with them. But all you would do is you go to DEXScreener.com, right? So DEXScreener.com, you connect your wallet. And then once you connect your wallet, you then are able to buy and sell any token you want. So for example, if you want to buy like FartCat that just was launched on Solana 23 days ago, you go to DEXScreener.com, you click the actual project you want, and then you say buy, right? And if you want to buy, you can buy, you just connect the wallet, you buy a certain amount of SOL of this project, and you're done, right? It's very simple, it's extremely fast, and it's very convenient, right? Now the problem is not buying and selling, right? The problem is like figuring out which projects to buy, which projects to sell, which projects are safe, which projects are scams and complete honeypots or rug pulls, and so we'll go through that.
Question: Are
Yeah.
all the tokens on these what is it called? Decentralized exchanges, or for some you need to log into certain platforms, or you can find everything here? I mean, on this DEXScreener.
These DEXScreener is only decentralized exchange tokens. So only tokens that you can buy using a decentralized exchange like PumpSwap. So like I'll show you. So if I go to Solana, these on top, you see these PumpSwap, Raydium, Orca, these are all different decentralized exchange. The biggest one is Uniswap on Ethereum, but Uniswap's competitors on Ethereum is like Curve, Balancer, Pancakeswap, SushiSwap, FraxSwap, etc. Right? But a lot of these decentralized exchanges work on different blockchains. So like Uniswap works on Ethereum, but it also works on Base, right? It also works on Binance Smart Chain. It works on Avalanche. It works on Arbitrum, Optimism. Those are all different blockchains. And sometimes one exchange will support multiple blockchains. So it makes it a lot more convenient. But the reason why this is tricky,
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sorry, so you can do many exchanges on different, on Pancake, on the Sushi one. So why would you prefer a certain one other than the other if they're all the same?
So your goal is to just try to find liquidity, right? So when I say liquidity, I mean you're trying to just chase where there is liquidity pool. So where there is somebody who's offering that token for sale, and in exchange for that, you want to make sure that you get a fair price, right, for the token. So that depends on what token it is. So many times when tokens are launched, they're only trading on one pool, right? Or one liquidity pool. So what I mean by liquidity pool is it basically means if you want to trade a coin. So like let's do an example, right? So I'll show you an example from the Alpha Hunter. So Alpha Hunter is what we have that basically tracks new projects that are launched that potentially are interesting. So like that's how we find Trump coin, like within a few minutes of it being launched. That's how we found Jelly within 5 minutes of it being launched, and then went up from like 100K to like 400 million, right? Is we're using Alpha Hunter, and like that's what we use most of our time. And these are all the different blockchains we're tracking, right? Right now, version 1 is just Solana. So for example,
so Basil, you have
Yeah.
on Alpha Hunter Solana. You bought on Alpha Hunter Solana. You can also buy on the Unicorn one or Sushi one, also the Solana. And are these different software aligned together on how many shares of Solana there is in the market, or each has its own piece of the pie?
Each has its own piece of the pie. So like if you have, but usually a coin will only be launched on one blockchain, generally. So if a coin is launched, like for example, let's take NeuroCheck, right? This project was launched yesterday at 4 a.m. And this is the contract address. So remember when I was talking to everyone about the smart contract? A smart contract gives you a contract address. So every smart contract has its own address, and that address is how you know that this token is what it is, right? So this token address, if I go to the blockchain explorer for Solana, which is Solscan, and I paste in, let's show you. So go to solscan.io, paste in the contract address that ends with SBLV. It'll take us directly to the coin, right? Which is NeuroCheck. So this coin has a market cap of 175,000. It has 469 holders, right? And you see, it's not as, so far, it doesn't seem to be a scam, right? It's passed like our filters and our algorithmic checks to make sure it's considered legitimate. And you could see that there's, out of those 469 holders, you see the largest one is a liquidity pool. So this is a pool. And what the pool is, it's literally bringing two sides together, right? There are people that could be like you and I and everyone here, and we want to have a little piece of the pie from every single transaction of somebody buying or selling this token. So if somebody wants to buy NeuroCheck, they have to buy it from someone else who's willing to sell it, right? But instead of you trying to make money from buying and selling it, you can make money from just people transacting. Like people buying and selling with each other, you can get like 0.3, 0.2% of each transaction, right? Of each transfer.
And you do that by having the majority of the shares?
You could, but you don't need to. Like it's all proportional. So if you have a lot of shares and you create a liquidity pool, then you're going to get a larger piece of the pie, right? But usually it's together. So if you have 10 people in a room and they control 20% of the supply and they put that in a liquidity pool, then you're going to get a pretty good share of the pie, right? As a group.
Right.
And that's what they do. Like that's literally exactly what market makers do on Coinbase or Binance or Kraken, is they create their own liquidity pools and they send it to the exchange and the exchange controls it, right? But for decentralized exchanges, you can literally go into Meteora exchange, right? And that's the Solana DEX. You can go in here and create your own pool, right? You can say, I want to create my own pool, and I can go in here and I could see exactly who created what. So Trump USDC, right? There's 60 liquidity pools. So 60 groups of people have created liquidity pools for Trump, $362 million worth. So I can click here and I could see they're making roughly, at the highest is 0.39%, right? So 0.3 to 0.39% is what people are making from, that's the highest though. That's really low. The lowest is a lot lower. Like when I was saying 0.2, 0.1, I'm not exaggerating. Like it's very little, but it's very little of a lot, right? So it could be like $100 million worth.
Sorry, but the 0.39% is over what, a period of what time? What is the frame? I mean,
no, it's just what you make. You make off every transaction. So if
from the transaction itself.
Which is, I know you like 0.01. It doesn't sound a lot, but if you have like, $100 right? Then you're making 0.01% of that. If the people are transacting $100 million, 0.01% is a lot, right? That adds
Right.
up. That can add up really quickly. So like that to me can be a lot, right? So that's basically how it works. So, and then the liquidity pools, generally how they work is if you go to a coin, so let's stick to Solana for now, and let's go to FartCat, right? FartCat. Okay, so go to FartCat, and then you see right now it tells you the project. It tells you if you click this, you get the contract address, right? It tells you the website, the Twitter, the Telegram. It tells you the price, and then it tells you the liquidity. So telling you how much liquidity is in this particular coin between FartCat and Sol. There's $500,000 worth of liquidity. And if you click this, it shows you how much is locked, right? And then now that you see how much is locked, you basically are able to go down. If you go down a little bit and go to pooled, you go to pair here. And this will show you directly to the liquidity pool. So you see it's 50-50. So usually you have 50% of the token, 50% of Sol, and then it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So that's how you create a pool. It's 50-50. It's always 50-50. And that's how they maintain the price generally to be as stable as possible. So if you have steady demand and steady supply, then the price will stay, mostly balanced and mostly going sideways. So, and then that's how they do it. But the risk with on-chain is the majority of liquidity pools are not locked and not burnt. This is the biggest problem, is because if you're trying to buy a token and there's no liquidity, or if there's no liquidity burnt or locked, then the people who are providing the liquidity, like to be able to allow people to buy and sell, they can bail and they can withdraw all the liquidity with them, and you never see them again, right? This is a huge risk with what everyone is doing on chain, is that if you don't have liquidity locked or burnt, then they can just walk away, right? So hopefully that's making sense. If not, I want to just take a minute because I just went through a lot of content. Yeah,
My
Rania,
basic
go ahead.
ways, no, I'm just going to add something. So that's one of the ways if you figure out if that project is a scam or not. So let's say you see that on DEXScreener, the liquidity pool is not locked. That usually means it's going to get scammed, and it's a red flag. So just don't enter that project. It's as simple as that.
Exactly. I think that's the best way of looking at it. What were you going to ask, Maya? Please go ahead.
No, I was just answering my son. He's asking me something in chemistry. No, there's nothing.
Okay, no problem. I can't help you. I can help you with math and science, or in computer science, but not with chemistry. Yeah, it's not my specialty.
Basil, why don't you go through some of the red flags that we find on DEXScreener when we're looking for Twitter?
So let's go through NeuroCheck, right? Like let's stick with this example. This is a good one. So let's open up NeuroCheck, and so this is a project that you see, like a lot of times this is the chart that you're going to see, right? You're going to see it where initially it explodes and then it crashes down, and the majority of projects will explode and then crash down and you never hear from them again. The ones that have survived are the ones that are going to go sideways here, and then hopefully they start to develop more demand and more interest, and then they start exploding in value, right? But how we do this is, so this project, the description is NeuroCheck helps you detect what's fake: images, videos, audio, and text. So far, that's fine. It doesn't sound like it's a meme. It sounds like it's an actual utility project where there's actual function, there's real form. We categorize it, so it looks like it's an AI-based project, which is correct. We show the DEXScreener link. We show the market cap. So a lot of what we're doing here with the Alpha Hunter is there's 100,000. I'm not exaggerating. There are literally 100,000 projects being launched every day. We are filtering out 99.99% of those, and only a handful are coming through the Alpha Hunter that are then potentially interesting, right? It doesn't guarantee that they're going to be real and that they're going to have real utility and real function. And that doesn't mean that they're going to solve real problems. It just means that they've passed our token audit and our due diligence and our screening, right? And but even then, so like I'll show you real examples of good projects, and I'll show you projects that did not pass our conditions, and there's a reason, right? So for example, market cap, it's above 100,000. That's okay. That's good. Volume above 100,000, fine. Liquidity above 100,000, good. Transactions, there's 971, that's fine. Top 10 holders holding 22% is okay. It's not hugely concerning. Fake volume being 0 is okay. Insiders made 147,000. See, that's a risk. That means the founders and the insiders to the project have already made 6 figures, right? And now they're only holding $1,700. So I would be careful with this. Cabal being 100%. So cabal means, in other words, it basically means it's like literally wasta, like الأولى في العربي wasta, right? Like connections, like whether or not this is created by private connections is what the cabal rate would be, right? So it's showing you it's 100% means that this 100%, this project was created by insiders and whales who are trying to pump projects. And it doesn't mean that the project doesn't have value. It just means that the cabal was involved in some way in pushing the project and promoting it, right? It doesn't mean that they were necessarily the developers or founders, but they were clearly involved. So that means I would be very careful when you have cabal 100%. And then bundling. So bundling is another very, very, very important thing to track. And I'll find another project that has bundling that's like concerning, right? So I'll show you these. So if you look at this bundling. So this project called Moonbag. It's just a meme, right? There's no other value to it. It's purely just a meme. And if you look at the bundling section, it's showing you the bundling is 72%. That means 70% of the token supply was bought by only a small group of people, right? That's usually like an immediate red flag. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't buy it and you shouldn't trade it and you shouldn't speculate on it. It just means that there's more risk in the project dumping quickly than there is otherwise. Hopefully that makes sense, but that's what bundling means. When you're bundling things, when you're collage, or like you're combining everything together into a few big large purchases, that's how you're bundling it. So you don't want the token supply being bundled this much on projects of value. For memes, it's okay, right? But you don't want like legitimate projects with utility to be bundled so high. And then you look at the bundling composition, right? And you see this is another big red flag. The fact that 69% of the total bundled supply is new wallets, that's concerning, right? That means that those new wallets are probably created by either the founders or the promoters, just to create like the illusion that the project is real and that a lot of people are buying it, right? So what this means is 69%, it means that it's being bundled across different wallets and to try to make inflate the numbers, right? Basically fudge the numbers, make everything look like it's completely legitimate and that it has real value and that there's real holders and real buyers, but most of the time it's complete bullshit, right? Like that's the reality of it. So those are just other examples of things that you would look at to be concerned about. And then another thing to look at is the fact that there's no this, right? So there's large amount of liquidity unlocked is not good, right? The fact that there's no liquidity locked from what initially, when we first looked at this, there wasn't liquidity locked, which is concerning. The fact that initially there was one wallet that had 24% is a concern, but then we looked at it. If you remember, we looked at it and we saw that it was just it was basically just the exchange. It was just the pool. So if it's just a pool, then it's not a huge concern, right? It's not a huge concern. It's obviously here. It's this. So it's a liquidity pool, then it's not a big problem. So that's not a concern. Usually, if you want to see, is the project mintable? You don't want this to be mintable. You don't want the project to be freezable, which means that the token itself, right, can be changed by the founder. You don't want that. You don't want the founder to have too much control. You don't want the founder to have too much power. Another thing is you don't want very few holders, right? Usually you want like 300, 400, 500 plus, preferably 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, right? for new launches, 500 is fine. It's not a big problem. And then this is like our whale section, right? So this whale section is like literally our secret sauce in reality. Like this is what brings us the huge advantage is we're scanning for whales, right? So we're constantly scanning for whales. And the problem with on-chain is there's so many fake whales. There's so many people who there's a perception that they have a lot of value and funds, but they don't have any value in funds. And then they just keep dumping on you. You keep thinking, you keep following them and you're like, oh, this wallet looks really interesting. It looks like they're buying a lot of good things early. And then you follow them and then they're completely full of shit, right? They don't actually make money. They're not profitable. They're just pump and dumpers, right? And they hold tokens that don't have real value. So like this has been really challenging, is like figuring out who is a whale, right? And whale in our context, and because I asked my wife the other day, I'm like, do you know what a whale is in crypto? And she couldn't like put those two together. So I was like, so let me explain what a whale is. A whale is a huge investor. It's like a very wealthy, powerful crypto investor who can move mountains and move markets, right? So if you track what they do, usually you'll do well, but you have to find which ones are real whales and which ones are fake whales, right? So so whenever we find multiple whales buying projects, that's usually a pretty good like green flag. Or like, huh, that's interesting. Like why are two whales who have $200,000, $300,000 worth in their wallets, why are they buying this project? Like that's interesting, right? And sometimes they are scammers, but the majority of the time, this is like a very good way of tracking what's worth buying. You know, like this one, this is a really good whale. They have like $200,000 of cash just sitting. So clearly they're very smart about going in and out, right? And you can track. So if you go to their wallet and you could go to their portfolio and you could see exactly how much they have in each project, right? And then in the Alpha Hunter 2, if you click this coin, you can see this view exactly when they bought and sold. See, from here, they only bought. They've only bought here. See? BBB is bought. So they haven't sold yet, which is interesting to me. You know, like they're still holding. And in the Alpha Hunter, you see this. So to me, when you're asking me, Rania, about what are the red flags we look for, if a whale, when you see that they've sold, I would be concerned, right? Because we're constantly updating this. So if you're seeing that they sold, I would be concerned. Like this. They sold this project, right? This project went up initially a lot, and then it crashed, and then the whale sold. So whenever you see that they're holding no more of this token, then I wouldn't be looking at that. I wouldn't be buying it, you know? Okay. Any questions? That was a lot. So let's take a minute to like digest. Any questions from anyone? Ahmed, Maya, Aboudi?
Basil,
What's up, brother?
how's it going?
Good.
My question would be maybe because I get a lot of people around me asking, what is what's the plan for like the near future when it comes to crypto in general? Do you think it's a good time to be investing? A lot of questions people ask me around timing, stuff like this, because you have a lot of people now with who want to take take part in the space. But how would you advise them on going about just like a general safe strategy so that people don't get freaked out and can do it safely? I don't know, stuff like this. Like now is the time where people are looking more and more into getting into the space. How would you advise?
So the way I would do it personally is I'll go through it. And I think Connor, you just joined, right? I see you there. Or you're on. You can say hi too. You can introduce yourself. You're on mute.
Hi guys. Hello.
Hi.
How's it going? Hi Rania. Hi Basil. Hi everybody.
Hey Connor.
Tell them who you are, man.
So I I'm also a Blockcircle person and veteran since about 2020, and did very, very well 2020 to 2021 and ongoing with Blockcircle and with crypto in general. And been working really this last couple of years to build out Blockcircle Indonesia and Blockcircle Global with Basil and Rania as well, and sort of building out the community. And you've seen obviously the Alpha Hunter, and I don't know if you've discussed yet Basil the Momentum Trading Engine, but those two projects are already showing some of the potential that they have to be really, really bleeding edge, top level tech for traders in this industry. And yeah, Blockcircle's been a massive sort of awesome community for me, awesome for anybody who wants to invest or get involved in the crypto space. Basically have a lot of support and basically a sort of a family there, I suppose, around you, of people from all walks of life, all corners of the world, a lot of CEOs, a lot of C-level executives, but a lot of normal people as well who want to get involved in crypto. And it's fantastic, and it's fantastic to see Blockcircle MENA starting, and all the great work you guys are doing.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, man, I'm happy you joined. It's good. It's an honor to have you here. I haven't had time to go through the momentum trading engine, but that's a very good point. I will definitely go through that. Rania felt that it would be very good to go through that as well, so I'll go through that. And that's a really good you mentioned it, because then I'll include that when I'm responding back to Abudi's question. So Abudi, the way I would see it is, I'll show you. So let me walk through very quickly my main perspective, right? So to me, when I'm looking at crypto as a whole, I would continue to stay bullish up until we get to the top of this curve that you're seeing in red. So basically that would take us up to around like here. So this area here is where I would become a lot more protective and a lot more defensive with my positions. And it doesn't mean I would be bearish, but it would just mean I would be bearish biased, right? Think of it that way. That would be bearish biased. And we're not there yet. So that's around Bitcoin getting to like 135 to 150,000. Because historically, Abudi, we've never broken that level. So it doesn't matter what people are saying, like, yeah, Bitcoin's gonna hit 500,000. Like, fine, like, félicitations, like, good luck, man. I salute you. If you get to 500,000, good job, right? But I'm not gonna be sitting and blindly buying and holding all the way to 500,000. I just think that's irresponsible. So there's probably going to be like a pretty significant de-risking event around 135 to 150,000, because that would take us right back up to the curve. And it's not just, trying to retro curve this, like it's also, if you look at it across multiple indicators. So it's like usually when you have Bitcoin, usually will peak around those levels. And there's a huge amount of confluence around that level. So that's Bitcoin. And then the other thing is, when I look at Bitcoin versus the stocks, right? This is like one of the most important, I would say these are some of the most important metrics that we use in our scorecard. And generally, when you see crypto outperforming stocks in that way, that's usually very, very good, but it turns around, right? And when it starts turning around, that means that we've peaked. So right now, in the past, like this is like a very good metric to use, because we were able to, you have the peak in like January of 2018. We used the exact same condition to figure out that the peak was back in October of 2021. And again, we noticed, hi Baba.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Okay, Zany. Sorry guys. Zany's here. Okay. You might as well just say hi.
Daddy, this is mine. Daddy, look.
Okay.
Hi,
Hi.
Nini.
Say hi. Say hi.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. It's Father's Day here.
Hi.
That's why I think.
Happy Father's Day.
Oh, is that your son?
Yeah, Salim, come say hi.
Hey guys.
Hi.
How
That's
you doing?
Kareem. Salim.
Hello, Kareem.
How are you?
Hello, good man. Nice to meet you guys.
And this is my
Nice to meet you.
sister.
Okay, thank you, Baba. Yeah, he's giving me his Father's Day gift.
Aww.
All Can you go now? I need to finish, okay?
Really go what?
Okay. Let me finish. Let me finish. Give me 1 minute, guys. Okay, go. Go.
If you want, I can continue where more or less where he stopped off, or Connor can.
Billy, I'm in the workshop. Can you grab him? Billy, can you grab him, please?
Or no one can. Tad, any other questions right now while we wait for Basil to get back? Okay.
Okay, guys, sorry about that. I was like, whoa. Well, he's only 4, so I can't blame him. But we told him not to enter, but he's, a zany wany. He's 4 and extremely persistent. Okay, so what I was showing you was that there's a lot of metrics that I use to be able to figure out when we should be going long and when we should be going short on crypto. And if people are looking to enter the sector, that's exactly what I would do. I would look at the scorecard and then look at the latest edition and just read what my updates are and then figure out, is this a good time to be long or is this a good time to go short, right? And these metrics are there's almost 50 metrics that I use to be able to figure out if you should be long or short. In one sentence, it's a good time to be long Bitcoin, but it's a good time to be short altcoins. It's as simple as that. That's just how it is. If you're trying to buy long term, if you're trying to buy short term, there's plenty of opportunities to trade crypto actively using the Alpha Hunter and then using the momentum trading engine. Alpha Hunter is really good for micro caps and small caps, so like smaller projects. And then for medium to large caps, larger projects, 100 million plus, then the momentum trading engine is very, very good for that. Because the momentum trading engine, how it works is we developed this trading engine that allows you to know when you should go short and when you should go long. So short means you're betting and profiting from the market crashing, and then going long means you're betting and profiting from the market going up, right? But it's very simple. Like you would join and then you add in momentum trading engine as an indicator, right? So you go into indicators, you type in Blockcircle, and then there's momentum trading engine version 2, right? So you just add that in. Once you add it in, it shows up on TradingView, right? And TradingView, then you can configure it however you want. So we have configurations, we have strategies that worked for us very well. And then you would just copy those one by one. You change the parameters to fit the configurations that we give you that are very good. And those configurations are trading Bitcoin and they're trading Solana, right? So those are the main trading Bitcoin, Solana, and Ethereum. Those are my 3 babies, the 3 of my main areas. And then once you have it configured, it literally shows up like this. So it tells you when to go short. It tells you when to go long. It tells you what to do at different times. And it's just very helpful. It's just very helpful. It's not 100% perfect, but it's pretty damn good. Like, it's just an example of like what it's done in the past. So you see configuration 1 is one strategy, right? Configuration 3 is another strategy. Configuration 3 is still 100% accurate. Like, it's never failed so far. And we've been using it for over a year. There's a 100% win rate. So it knows, like, for example, here it went long on Bitcoin at 105. Then it closed the trade in profit at 106.6. Then, and the same thing would trade configuration 4 at 98% win rate. It's only missed, I think, once or twice, right? And it doesn't miss a lot. When it misses, it only misses, like, you only lose like a few percent. So to me, the momentum trading engine is a very good way of like figuring out what you should do with crypto, So the way I would have it, I would probably structure the portfolio to be maybe like 40% Bitcoin, 40% stable coins, and then 20% microcap, small cap altcoins that you trade using the Alpha Hunter. That's the way I would do it. 40, 40, 20. I think is a very good portfolio structure. It's safe, it's conservative, but it also gives you some access to some very high risk, high reward positions in that 20% bucket, right? That's what I would do. If you want to be more aggressive, then you just do 30, 30, 40, right? I'm very aggressive, so mine is more like 40, 60, which it probably shouldn't be, but that's how I do it. So I have like a very small amount of like stable coins and a small amount of, large cap holds like Bitcoin, but the rest is like in very high risk, speculative like trading, swing trading, and scalp trading. So Alpha Hunter is really good for scalp trading, where you want to trade a few times a day. And then swing trading is more for if you want to trade once a week, twice a week, once every 2 weeks. Like that's where the momentum trading engine is very, very good. And so yeah, hopefully that helps. But my main point about crypto is that if you're looking at it as a sector, I don't think we've reached the top yet. That's A. B, crypto is it was outperforming stocks for the last like several weeks. But now it's starting to turn red, as you can see in the last 2 weeks. But it was outperforming the S&P 500. It was outperforming the NASDAQ. It was outperforming the Russell 2000. The other thing that's important to remember is look at the money entering, right? You can't have a bear market if you have money entering over and over again. So as long as this continues to rise, I'm not expecting like a 1 year prolonged bear market cycle, right? As that's important to remember. And then another thing I would also try to remember is the reason I'm saying that it's good to be allocated to Bitcoin if you can is because of Bitcoin dominance. So like this is the metric I like to use is show you is not just this one metric, but there's another metric that I have that shows you the true Bitcoin dominance, right? And then that metric basically shows you how much of the market is being controlled by Bitcoin itself, right? Not just Bitcoin dominance, but it removes the noise of stable coins. So I'm trying to find it here, but it's okay. But this is a good starting point. So here it is. So this shows you what true market cap is for Bitcoin. And you see it's not just 64%, it's closer to 70%. Because stable coins, right? So again, like US dollar backed stable coins, they're controlling a huge amount of the market, right? So after you remove that noise, 70% of the entire crypto sector is Bitcoin. So obviously having a good allocation of that is a smart strategy. But beyond that, I think you use the Alpha Hunter and you use the momentum trading engine. I don't think there's anything else you need to do. Like personally, I think there's always money to be made. But that's what I like. So for example, when I'm looking at, I'll give you an example of the momentum trading engine, like why I like it. So one second, momentum trading engine. Okay, so let me give you one example of like one configuration that works really well. Here. So we had a configuration that had 330% returns since last year. And that basically outperforms buying and holding of Solana by 8 times, right? That's massive. Like your goal is to outperform Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Doge. That's always my goal. That's like my life's goal is I want to outperform just blindly buying and holding those 4 assets. And Momentum Trading Engine does that, but it doesn't just do that with max risk. It only had 16% drawdown, right? So what this means is that it literally means that you are only exposing yourself to the downside 16%. So at any one time, if you have a portfolio of 100,000, your portfolio at its worst case scenario was only going down to 84,000. That to me is like a very acceptable risk to be able to be put in a position where you are potentially getting 300% returns. You have to take some risk, right? There's no asset in the world that doesn't come with some kind of steady risk. So there's a risk reward, right? And the more risk you take, obviously, the more reward, but you want to be able to manage your risk appropriately. And like to me, that's what the momentum trading engine does well, is if it's in the red it's fine as long as you're closing those not profitable positions as quickly as possible. And this is what I was really proud of this configuration, right? It had an 80% win rate. So that's good, right? So it won 80% of the time, and then the 20% of the time that it would lose, which was it only had like 2 losses, or I think it only had 2 or 3. How many losses? It had 8 losses, but the max loss was 10%, and usually it was only like a few percent. So it's like it doesn't get better than that, like realistically. And there was no leverage, and that wasn't using any leverage. Like, this is the thing, people, when you go on any, if you look at what people are always posting on Twitter and X and Telegram, they're always like, oh, I made 300%, I made 400% on leverage trading. Like, everything I'm showing you has no leverage. So there's no leverage. There's no risk of liquidation. Like, if you're trading on leverage, like futures or perpetual futures or anything like that, there's a huge risk of your account being, shut down, right, by the exchange, if you're too far in the red. So to me, this is a very powerful position to be in, right? So no leverage, making 330%, and only 16% drawdown. So that's an unrealized loss, right? So again, like, only showing you in the red 16% of the time. You're not gonna get better than that, So, so to me, that's, I think, hopefully, Aboudi, that makes sense. But like that's just what I would do. Is if I was completely new to the sector and I would try to enter it, I would probably have like a 40-40-20 portfolio structure, and then it's like 40% Bitcoin. Let's say 40% Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, Doge, 40% stable coins, and 20% like, Alpha Hunter, microcap, small caps. And in that 40% of Bitcoin, Sol, Doge, and ETH, I would have a big portion of it being controlled by the momentum trading engine, rather than just buying and holding. Like, I'm heavily invested in real estate. So for me personally, real estate is like a very good hedge, a good way to diversify my portfolio. So that portfolio, khalas, is finished. It's stable. It's growing. I don't have to be concerned about it. So, but the rest of my portfolio, I want to be as calculated, as controlled with risk and reward as possible. So that's why my portfolio is a lot more aggressive. Does that make sense?
I completely agree with that, and I'll be switching more over to the momentum trading engine and trying to plug that in. I think what that also does for you is that most people that are new look at bullish case scenarios rather than the downside of things.
Yeah.
So with the momentum trading engine, I think you get the best of both worlds. You get when the market is hot, you get the best of that, and then when the market is dumping, you also get the best of that.
Exactly.
So it kind of like eases nerves and stress, because I think the biggest thing that impacts, especially people that are new in this space, is the volatility. Not many people understand, why it's so volatile, and people panic and stuff like this. When you can calm nerves by telling people that you can win on both sides, then I think that should be a good starting point for anyone. I personally, from my story, I wish I had found Blockcircle early, because I got into the space at completely wrong time. I did a lot of mistakes, and ever since I found you guys through Rania, and I have to credit Rania because she helped out a lot. Being part of a community like Blockcircle, it gives you that insurance, and it gives you that kind of peace of mind, and it gives you a community where you support each other, even through when things are not going well, people are there explaining why, and when it's the opposite, the same is true for that. So yeah, I definitely, I'm starting to warm much more to the idea of doing it that way. So I'll be exploring that starting Monday with Rania to make sure that I get this set up properly.
I mean, I appreciate the nice words, brother. I mean, I value that. I think we just do a really poor job of promoting. I'm not really interested in marketing and promoting and advertising. It's just not something I'm particularly like excited about. I just like to build, and then I like to help people. Like I genuinely like to help people, and I want to help.
I'm gonna raise my hand again here.
Please,
this is not. I mean, you're really like the godfather to all of us. I mean, the amount of stuff that I'm sure you put up with from all of us, and the amount of time and patience you take with each and every one of your members. And this is not just, I'm not advertising here. I'm just really giving you credit.
Thank you.
For how patient and how sometimes questions are. You feel that I feel like sometimes when I'm asking questions that I'm like completely noob about things, but you're there, with a you complete support of any questions we have, and the patience you have with us. It really has, I really appreciate what you've done and for the time that we've known each other.
No, you're welcome, man. I'm thank you, brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. I think I always tell people, like, even if one day we get to 100 million, a billion, like I'll always have Blockcircle, because my goal is to be able to expand out, educational foundation, expand out the scholarship program we have. Like I want to be able to help people. And to me, there's no better way to force myself to like stay involved in every sector than Blockcircle, right? So, and everybody in here, like the people we have in here are the best. Like they're founders of different companies, entrepreneurs and market leaders like you, Abudi, like Rania, right? They're scientists, research, computer scientists, developers, like PhDs, doctors, lawyers. So every walk of life is all coming in. Everybody's bringing their own perspective, their own alpha, and they all have insider knowledge, right? The problem I see with crypto, though, is that there's so many scams. It's like overwhelming, right? And every single person you see on X, almost everyone, is being bought in some way by a company. Like I refuse to accept any funds, any promotional partnerships with exchanges. They contact me every week. I say no, right? And I've never wavered on that. Like I've been absolutely like honest and transparent about that. But unfortunately, almost every single other influencer creator that I see, they've been coerced in some way, right? They've been compromised in some way. And even if they don't say it, right? So like Alex and I, we refuse to accept any funds from any projects. We refuse advisor fees. We refuse affiliate deals with exchanges, with apps. We don't even allow any apps to have links, right? You know that. We don't allow any affiliate links in Blockcircle. Like we're extremely strict about it. And it annoys some people, but the reason for that is we need to keep it clean. Like we have to be honest. And if you're not there to help other people and to help yourself, then it's not going to work.
This is how you build real communities, Basil. I mean, from my experience, when it's clean, it's transparent, it's it might not hit off with everyone, but in the long term, you'll build a really solid foundation. Like you said, this is like your baby. You're not in a rush to get members and to do like everybody else is doing. Really, it's a very undervalued, underappreciated space and community that I wish a lot more people had access to. And I commend you and Rania for introducing Blockcircle and yourselves to the community and to people in this region, because I think a lot of companies today lack this kind of integrity and this kind of transparency. So coming from me as an entrepreneur and as somebody that runs, a company, I get those values, because this is how we've been. This is why we've been in our industry around for so long.
Yeah,
and build a name for ourselves. It's because we just eliminate all the noise and just build on our values. And I think what you're doing is amazing, really.
Thank you, brother. No, that means the world to me. So,
you still don't have to put up with me. I'm not going anywhere.
Don't worry at all, man. No, it's always in my honor.
Can I just say something, Karim? Abudi, 3 days ago, Basil gave up on me about 7 times. He wasn't that patient after 4 days, but really, and it wasn't even about crypto. It was about phishing on Facebook. I went into a fish on scam on Facebook, and he spent 5 days with me. And then in the end, he was like, I give up.
I give up. That was the most sophisticated scam. No, I honestly, on that scam, I'm gonna write a post in Blockcircle about it and how to avoid people to avoid that scam. That was unbelievable. Like, so Ranya's computer was hacked through one link that she sent, that she clicked, that she got through DMs that looked completely real and legitimate. Like, I would have definitely clicked it as well. And then the hackers were so genius. It's absolutely brilliant. Honestly, and I have to, like, somebody with a background in information security, I can say that I was like very impressed with like the creativity of the hack. Because they basically hacked our computer, and they did it in a way where there's no log, there's no history, because it's not them logging into her account, it's them logging into her Chrome browser that was compromised, right? And then they ran ads on her Facebook account to promote some router, a network router. And it was so genius because they would delete the ads after. And I'm like, this is incredible. Like, it's just incredible. Like, it's obviously really annoying. And like, it was a nightmare for Nanya. But I was also just like impressed with the brilliance of it was a Vietnamese hack. And I was just like, unbelievable. It's like so smart, you know, that it's like a 72-hour hack. They like come in, they run ads, they delete the ads, and you don't even know what the hell just happened to you. So I don't know. It's pretty incredible, honestly. So, all right. What else do we? So I think that. So let me go back. So let me go back and see if there's anything like else that I want to really make sure I go through. So we talked about soft wallets. We talked about exchanges. We talked about Uniswap. The only other thing I want to make sure I want to mention before we go into like more detail is when you're doing on-chain trading, you need to make sure you learn about MEV bot protection. So MEV bot there's basically many MEV bots that you can use. The one I like to use is MEV blocker. What this basically does is you would use this with Uniswap, and you make sure that when you're buying a token on Uniswap that you're trying to avoid getting sandwiched, right? And it's literally what you think it sounds like. This is what it is, right? It's you being sandwiched. So imagine you're standing in line waiting for a coffee, and somebody in front of you and somebody behind you comes in front of you, buys the last coffee to $10, and then turns around and sends it to you for $20, right? And you're like, what the hell just happened to me? Like this, and it just happened so fast, right? And that's you being sandwiched. That's you being front run. Somebody cuts in front of you in the line, buys whatever you're wanting to buy, turns around, tries to sell it to you at a much, much higher price, and you have no other choice because you have to buy the product, and there's no other, service provider, no other merchant, right? So what you need to do to avoid being in that situation is you use something called an MEV blocker, right? And the most famous one is it used to be called MEV blocker, but now it's just called CowFi. So it's owned by CowFi. But if you type in cow.fi/MEV blocker, I'll post it in the chat, you basically will be able to, all you do is you add it to your Uniswap, right? It's very, very simple. You just click this, and then it'll add it automatically, or you can manually add it. And all this is, it's just telling you that it's going to route transactions to this website first before it settles it on Uniswap. So this protects you from being front run. It protects you from avoiding being sandwiched, right? By a seller who ends up being a buyer and then a seller, right? So that's one big thing you need to remember. And then another thing is how to revoke smart contracts. This is very important, okay? I don't even think I've gone through this with you yet, but like, this is very, very important. So there's basically, there's apps that you can do. Revoke.cash is one very important one, but Rabby also has that. So Rabby wallet, you can, once you have it, you can revoke smart contracts on the fly. But if you go to revoke.cash, what this allows you to do is it's telling you, once you connect your wallet, it's telling you these are the contracts that you've given permission to interact on your behalf. And what this app allows you to do is to say, I don't want to give any more permissions to these apps that I gave permission to before. It's just like if you're on Facebook and you're trying to remove any website that you had logged into before and you want to remove that connection, then this is what revoke.cash allows you to do. And it's very simple, and that's it. These are very, very important like steps to make sure that you're safe, right? And that you're not exposing yourself to it. So like once you log in, this is your wallet, right? And then you see exactly what you've approved. So if I've approved these, you can go here and you say revoke. And when you click revoke, you just have to revoke it. You have to pay. So you have to pay a very small amount in transaction. And then that's it. Once you revoke, you can revoke it. You can add a tip too. And that's it. So it's a very straightforward process. It's not it's not anything more complicated than that. I do want to show you one thing. MetaMask now has, so let's see if I can, this should work. It's going to take some time because Ethereum's a little slow compared to Solana. It's a lot slower than Solana. But now it's revoking. So let's give it a minute to process. But I also want to show you the MEV blocker that I was showing you. You actually don't even need to use this that much anymore now that MetaMask has its own built-in protector. So I'll show you. So this is what it looks like. So they have something called Smart Account now. So you can use Smart Account, and this will protect you a lot of times from being front run. I still use MEV blocker. So if you do what you feel comfortable doing, but I still feel more comfortable using MEV blocker just in case. But if you don't want to, you can just use their built-in MEV blocker as well. Okay, so it's still revoking, but you see how long it takes, right? So once you revoke it, it didn't work because I think these are EIP 5792 batch. I think because there's no funds in it. So there's nothing to be revoked anyways. But usually it will work if you have funds in it.
I'll definitely add that. But most of the transactions that I do, I use mainly OKX for things that are not listed on Binance. Most of them have MEF protection, yes. But I don't know if it's the same as having this.
It's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same because the MEV blockers, like I talk about, if you look on Blockcircle, if you type in from Basil and type in MEV blah, you'll see that there's a lot. There's one post I made where I listed all of the ones that I've used. I just need to find it. And I'll post it because that is a very good list. There. So one time, Alex at Crypto Hunter was having problems with MEV blocker. It wasn't working. So then he asked for a list of other ones that I've used, and these are the ones. So MEV share is another very famous one. And you see this one was down. And then Meow, RPC, Merkle. So basically OKX probably runs its own. Or they're using one of these other ones.
All right. I definitely have to. Unfortunately, I'm still on my. I still do most of my trading on my phone.
Yeah.
And I think
which is so risky.
And you get familiar with just the UI and
yeah.
It just makes it. The longer you are on there, it makes it harder to switch. But I'm definitely going to be switching to doing stuff on my laptop, especially if I'm going to do the MTE thing. I can still control the MTE thing from my phone, right, Basil? If I'm not on my laptop,
you can do everything except for see the results of the strategy. So you can set up alerts, you can configure the strategies themselves, but you just can't see the performance. Like, you know what I was showing you the performance of a strategy. So I'll give you, let's just do an example now of one. But like you see this particular strategy that I have open right now that's running on Solana 8 hours, it's telling you the result is 232%, right? And then if I do buy and hold, it's showing you that buy and hold is 41%, right? So you can't see what I'm showing you here on the phone. You can't see the performance. Like if I want to compare, how many wins, how many losses.
No, I mean is that that's not like a critical thing for decision making if you're on your phone. These things are just to track performance whenever you're back on your laptop, or
Yes.
you can open and track it, but it's not going to affect any decision you have on getting out of a trade or.
No, because you can do that on your phone. Like right now, the way I have it is you can see these are the current alerts I have open, right? So I have configuration that's being sent to Wonder Trading. So Wonder Trading, the way you connect this is you run it in you run the momentum trading engine in TradingView, right? That's where the source of the alerts come from. Those alerts then get sent to an intermediary, and that intermediary is Wonder Trading. And that Wonder Trading app, right? It's very, very simple. Like the Wonder Trading app just takes in the signals and the alerts from TradingView, right? And once you have the alerts, then you just connect Wonder Trading to your exchange. So for you have Binance, right? I don't have access to Binance myself directly. So, but if you have Binance, all you do is set up a signal bot, and then and then you can have your exchanges here. You can have Binance, Bybit, OKX, right? BitGet, they're all here. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. You're just setting up a bot on Wonder Trading that connects TradingView on one side and then the exchange itself on the other side. You know?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Millie, can you take Zaini, please?
Basil, don't worry. If we get lost, we're gonna call you tomorrow. Abudi, you're gonna pass by tomorrow, right?
Yeah. You're gonna. I'm complete noob when it comes to tech, Rania. You know.
If we get lost, we call Basil. Don't worry about it.
No, yeah, of course. No. I think, and I also went through it on one of our private streams. I went through exactly how to set it up, like step by step, so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have the link, right? It's in the Discord.
Yes, it's in. I think it's pinned. Yeah, it's pinned. I remember doing this just recently. I did it again just to make sure everyone has it. It's here.
Okay.
So if you go to pinned here, see?
Okay.
I said for anyone just starting out, make sure to input your MTE here. And then I say, this is the tutorial. So the tutorial is very good. Also, the tutorial, by the way.
Would you like to know how using nothing but the simple standard indicators that everyone has on their trading platform and a startup account
it
with just
also
$1,000
helps with your other question. How much you were willing. Remember, you're asking about how to get started. This is this. Like 1 hour into the tutorial, if you go to this section, this is a very good way to look at portfolio structure, right? Depending on if you want to be max risk or max safe, right? This is a really good starting point.
Okay, good. Yeah, I will go through that definitely.
Okay. I'm just impressed with Zane sitting behind me. He's not saying anything, so that's good. Okay. I think that's literally it. Like, I think now we can go through. Let's go through like how to evaluate like real projects, you know. But I want to stop for a minute though. Rania, what else? I'm sure you want to share some things as well. Like, let me flip it to you.
Actually, no, I think he's covering most of it. I think the best part is I remember when Abudi called me and he told me I want to start into crypto.
Can you get out?
I was like, okay, just come over. And I told him, okay, so the first thing you have to learn about crypto is what you want from it. You know, it's more about behavioral finance because it's such a high risk asset class.
Can you get Zaini?
You have to understand where you are, you know, and how do you want to trade and what kind of trader do you want to be? Do you want to be in the trenches all the time? Do you want to be a long-term trader, intraday trader? And once you figure that about yourself and how much time you can commit to it, that's how you'll be able to figure out how to maneuver all of these assets and tools. And that's how you get the most out of it. So to me, that's the most important part about actually till I found out recently. And I just said that I'm new here. So once you figure that out and you figure yourself out, then moving through this, you'll understand, for instance, for me, I didn't like the salt trenches at all. I keep telling Abudi that I hate the salt trenches. They're just too quick. You have to have so much time on them. It's not for me. I prefer EVMs and Ethereum trades that are a bit longer and a bit more, you know, less risk once you actually do it. So once you figure that out about yourself, maneuvering through all of these tools and figure them out just becomes second nature. And I guess that's it to me. And this is something personal that anybody can have to go through. I think Aboudi went through that, and he kept shifting till I guess he figured out his own strategy, and that's how he's actually being able to really move faster in the space.
100%.
Yeah, and I've been around the like the merry-go. I've done the whole. I've done it all basically. But it's very important what you just said, because I don't think what I'm doing is sustainable. I mean, this is just for me, because I'm in the trenches, and I went from Bitcoin all the way down to microcaps. I did find myself in the trenches, but trenches are extremely time consuming, and I can't sustain what I've been doing for the last 6 months, because it's been a non-stop wave of, you have to be in there daily, not necessarily trading, but you have to be in the space to understand narratives and what's going on, and you have to be in communities, and you have to dig and research and set alerts on X, and all of that for me, and I did well with that. I did very well with that, but I need to start shifting my strategy to things that I can, because I have other projects that I'm working on in outside of crypto. So I think I want to start making this shift, and I think this is where the MTE is going to really help with that, because that's going to allow me to have more time to focus on other projects, and less stressing and worrying about things. I haven't, I don't sleep for more than 2-3 hours at a time anymore, and it's been like that because it's you when you're trading all these small microcaps, especially newly launched projects, you have to be very well informed about all of this. So yeah, so like you said, find out what works for you, find out what makes you, what you can afford to do, and what the amount of time you can spend, and then go ahead and and do that.
I completely agree. I mean, I think I even myself, I want to spend more time and put more capital into the momentum trading engine than I currently am. And then the second thing is, once we have the Telegram bot ready, because we're building the Alpha Hunter Telegram bot, and think of it as like the most advanced alerts engine that you could have, right? It's not meant for trading. It's meant for sending the alerts to a trading terminal, whether or not that is in Telegram, or whether or not it's on a DEX, or whether or not it's on some other platform that you want, right? Even if it's just an email notification or a Telegram notification, like that's the whole point of having the Alpha Hunter Telegram bot. And what I would love to do is I want to automatically buy new listings. So if a coin is being listed on Coinbase, or it's announced to be listed on Coinbase, then we are literally the first people to find out about that, right? There's no other app that is working as fast as we do. Like, and I've timed this. Like, there's other apps that tell you which coins are being listed, but there's no other app that tells you which coins are announced to be listed as quickly as we do. Like, some of them within a few minutes of what we have, and some of them within an hour or two. But I personally, from what I've seen, it's one of the fastest just listings, like the Alpha Hunter listings, where it tells you this coin is going to be listed. Because usually if you buy a coin when it's announced to be listed, it'll go up anywhere from 10 to 40 to 50 to 100%. It's pretty incredible. Like, you could look at, if I look at Bitmark listings, right? And look at when they announce that there's going to be listings. So they usually have it on their homepage here. So if you look at, one second, they usually have a column. I don't know why their columns are coming up like this. I think there's some bug with their website right now. But if you go here, there it is. Okay, now here. So these are the new listings, right? And you can see a lot of times if you get new listings, you can get them right from the minute that they're listed. You can see how high up they go, right? So they'll go up like 5, 10, sometimes 100%. So be able to just have the Telegram bot to tell me when a coin is listed, and to send that coin to a service that can then buy the coin immediately and then sell it when it's
Yeah,
up 20%.
that was my question. Would
Yeah.
you it would be automatically like buy it for you?
Yeah, so you would send what you would do is connect the Alpha Hunter bot to a
Yeah.
Maestro bot, right? To a Sniper bot, Bonk bot, Prodigy bot, right? All these bots that I've gone through that I've used, you would send those to any of those bots and then configure those bots to buy anytime that it receives an alert.
Okay. And is there one where we can short them as soon as they're listed?
No, shorting is completely different. So shorting, so all of these, so everything that I was showing you all at the beginning, all dexes, the majority of dexes is only buy and long. You can't, there's no shorting because shorting requires something outside of spot. So there's like 3 types of markets, right? There's spot markets, there's perpetual futures markets, and then there's like margin markets, right? Margin trading. Margin trading and perpetual futures, you can go long and short and you can use leverage, right? But for spot, you can't even use leverage and you can only go long. But if you want to go short on things, then you can go short on like Hyperliquid, right? Hyperliquid is famous because you can go long and short. You can go long and short on Bitcoin, on Solana, on like 200 plus assets. And if you know which ones you want to go short on, you can go like this. So like this.
Can't we use because I know maybe it's not an exchange you like, but like Mexi has that option of I see a lot of people I see a lot of people do that on Mexi for I don't know if that's because it has the most amount of tokens to offer to be able to short them.
Like that's what I'm doing now. So for MEXC, I was using MEXC initially because it's non-KYC, and I'm using it for the momentum trading engine, and it on Wonder Trading. So Wonder Trading, I added my MEXC account, and then you can fund it. So I have different Wonder Trading accounts, but like for this one that I'm showing you, all you do is you connect it to MEXC, and then you have funds to MEXC, and then you connect it to the Signal bot, and then you have different configurations that run, right? But that's for momentum trading engine. For the Alpha Hunter, these new projects that are getting listed, they're not even on MEXC yet, right? They're not on Bitmart. They're not on anything other than
right because
DEXs.
they haven't reached like a certain market cap.
Yeah, they're tiny, man. These are like tiny projects. So they're
the exchanges are not buying them. So I mean they're not going to, right? I mean the exchanges don't come in and provide the liquidity. They're not going to go onto their platforms. Right?
Exactly, man. That's exactly the problem. So unless the exchanges have a piece of the pie, then why would they ever list a project, right? They're obviously they need to get paid.
Right.
But the projects getting listed, that's good. That's a good sign that project's probably going to survive a little longer than the rest of the projects, But yeah, but the Alpha Hunter, think of it as it's the connecting point. It would send new listings to a Maestro bot, right? Or a Bonk bot, and it'll buy it. It'll send new announcements of listings there. It'll track profitable traders, right? So if there's profitable traders or whales that we were tracking, you can type in their address, and then you can subscribe to get an alert anytime that they're buying or selling a coin, right? I think that would be very, very powerful for you to use if you haven't already started tracking that. I think that's very powerful, because just being able to know, like here. So right now we have a list of wallets, right, that we're tracking. These profitable traders. These are traders that some of them have very high win rate, and they're very profitable. So right, so these are some of the first investors in like the top performing coins in each blockchain. So tracking them could be very profitable for you, right? So all you would do is copy the address and you would paste it into the bot, and then the bot will tell you exactly when they're buying, right? And you set all the conditions you want. And the conditions can be very, very advanced. So if you say, I only want to be alerted when there's a new Solana launch or a new Ethereum launch. And if it's Solana, then you choose which DEX you want, right? And you could set all the conditions you could possibly imagine you would want to have. So like, I only want to buy projects that have have the name, monster in the name, and that are in have this description, or have meme in the project category, or don't have meme in the project category, right? All of the conditions you could possibly imagine you would set it. And then at the end of it, you save it as a filter. And then that filter, see this right here. So review your alert settings. And then once you save it, you say, where do I want to receive the alert? In the chat or in a custom channel, right? So hopefully that's making sense, but this is very, very helpful, right? And I've tested it. So that would be I want to put more money into Alpha Hunter scalp trading in an automated way. And then I want to put more money into the momentum trading engine. And I want more stable coin just sitting, so it's ready for when the market conditions improve, And then the other thing that you were asking about is when is a good time to enter and exit? I think the biggest concern I have right now with the macroeconomics is that there's no liquidity, man. This is the biggest problem right now, right? Is that there's just such a struggle for liquidity. And until that is fixed, I'm not expecting the markets to be very, very good for risky assets like Bitcoin and crypto as a whole. It's not gonna explode like the way it did back in 2021, 2017, until we see that global liquidity, which is this new indicator we created, right? Until global liquidity starts to spike back up. And it hasn't happened yet. So the easiest way of looking at that is look at the one that's in orange. So if you see the orange one still going sideways to down, that's not good. We want it to go up. So I'll try to give you a better visual. So let me remove money supply, reverse repo. Let me remove all this. There. So you see, let me try to change this also from dots to, I think dots is probably a little confusing. Let me change it to a line, and then I'll make the line bigger. Yeah. So do you see the orange line here? Abudi, you don't want this line, man, going down, right? Whenever you see the line going down like this for 3 consecutive years, you have quantitative tightening, right? You have very strict monetary policy. That means, and this is just for the US. So if you add other countries, it's very similar. Just for the US, the federal bank, right, the Federal Reserve itself is taking money out, right? It's taking money out of the market. You don't want that. It's sucking out all the liquidity. So really no true bull market has ever started when we've been in quantitative tightening.
When do you expect, Basil, for things to start turning around when it comes to rate cuts, quantitative easing, stuff like this? So when do you think this is going to be upon us?
It could be as early as September, October. It could be as early as that, or right now it's at 6.6 trillion. See, it's the orange, right? Yeah. What if it doesn't? What if it just doesn't stop until we get to 5.5? I mean, it's not going to stop till this time next year. Do you know what I mean? This is the concern. What if we have a rate cut, but then the U.S. Fed continues to tighten?
But this is why I'm interested in just not this tunnel vision of buying altcoins and Bitcoin and just holding it blindly and hoping for it to go up and waiting for months on end for stuff for stuff to happen, where in the meantime there are opportunities out there that you can do in a very calculated short-term type maybe of trading, where you have things like the momentum trading engine, assisting and doing it for you. So maybe that would be a strategy, to take over the next few months, just in the time, waiting for. And I don't want to sit around waiting now for, for that bull run to happen. If there are opportunities to make money in the meantime, then I'm going to explore that option.
Yeah, like for me personally, I've had good luck with the momentum trading engine, not in an automated way. Like I personally find it to be a lot more helpful when I'm doing it manually. So what I do is I like to have, I just follow this channel. So I have the alerts perfectly set up on this channel. I just track it. So I know that. So I'll show you how I do it. So I go in here. I go into momentum trading engine, and I'll show you. So there's that file that has the configurations, right? So this file with the configuration. So there's three right now that are active. I just follow these three, and what I do is, that you look at row 2, the profile. So if it swings, that means it's longer time frame, trades less frequently. Scalps means shorter time frames, trades more frequently, right? So I know that configuration 1 is for SOL. Configuration 3 and 4 are for BTC, right? You see that. And then do you see the time frame here, Abudi, with 1 day? So one day, that trades less frequently, obviously, right? So I know that if configuration 3 flips long on BTC, then that's usually a very good sign to be long, at least for the next 1 to 3 days, 4 days maybe. Configuration 4, if it's starting to flip long, it's very aggressive. And so it aggressively enters, and then it closes at 2%. But what I like to use is configuration 4, but I don't like to close when it says to close. What I'll do is, if the configuration 4 is up and running and it's in 2%, 3% profit, I'll set the trailing stop loss. You can do that. You can do that yourself in Wonder Trading, or you do that yourself on the exchange, or whatever platform you're using. You just set a trailing stop loss, and the trailing stop loss.
Even this way, it doesn't consume. It's not going to consume any much of my time. Like now, I'm honestly feel like I'm burning out a bit.
No, it doesn't take much time at all.
I'm not over trading, but I'm like info. I don't know if there's a word for it. It's just gobbling information left, right, and center at a non-stop rate. It's starting to, eat at me a bit. So if I can do this with, with a relaxed, time, and just focus on the MTE itself and not eliminate every other noise that I'm doing in the crypto space, I'm warming much more to this now.
Yep. I completely agree, man. I mean, this is why I think, to me, the trailing stop loss gives just a huge amount of peace of mind for me, because I don't have to keep monitoring the trade when I'm sleeping. I don't have to worry about it because it's already in profit. So if I'm in profit, the beauty of using a trailing stop loss is that what he would do, so let's say you're entering a position at $8,000, it rises to 9,000. What you would do is initiate the trailing stop loss, which sets the stop loss right below the current price. And if it continues to rise, the stop loss will continue to move up proportionally, right?
Yeah.
And if it gets stopped, it's fine, man. At least you're closing the trade at 9,000, which versus 7,500. It's a lot better, man. And then you do it while you sleep. You don't have to worry about it. You've just made 5%. Like the most profitable hedge funds and the most profitable day traders only make 15% a year. 15%, right? So why are we trying to make 200%, 300%? It's just like, if we can make 100, 200% a year, that's already 10 times better than the highest performing hedge funds. I don't know, what else we could possibly want than that,
No, I'm definitely moving on to this. Definitely. There's no question about it.
But I think, don't worry about the automation. I think automation, to me, and I've said that to Rania too, I just don't think it's important right now. I think just figuring out which configuration is good for you is the starting point.
My only issue, Basil, and maybe you haven't. You've experienced it a bit with me, but Rania knows more. My issue is this is the tech side. It's so hard for me to
Yeah.
it took me like 3 days to understand how to, transfer money from Binance to OKX and using the right, it's a massive headache for me, but,
Yeah.
but
He was-
I'm gonna get there. I promise.
Yeah, I mean, this is the reason we have like in the course, which I don't have open right now. In the course, there's a whole section on bridging. Like, let me post the course here too, so people can see it. But the course on bridging is like, the lesson on bridging is like good for everyone to go through. The whole section 4 on DEXs, like how to enter crypto, how to use trading terminals, how to use DEXs, how to set up the wallets, how to bridge, right? This is like what most people don't even like spend the time learning, and like just bridging assets between the blockchains is like a huge.
Yeah, I personally learned all of this. I've learned, and it's just taking me a bit longer than your average Joe.
No, man, are you kidding me? You're flying by. You're already like 100 times faster than most people. Don't worry. Yeah, you're good, bro.
It took me hours just to touch and press send.
Yeah, I mean, but at least you got it. I mean, you're up and running. The problem though with on-chain is that there's just so many scams. Like, this is why, to me, I'm almost not even interested in any project that's not being mentioned already in Blockcircle by someone, because I trust that they've already gone through it and screened it, filtered out the crap. And then the ones that are coming through the Alpha Hunter. And like you can see, there's very few. Like that's a good thing that there's very few. We don't want to have like 100 projects coming through a day. We just want 1 or 2, that are worth potentially paying some attention to. And then the other thing about like where I see the market, the other thing is I would go to just blockcircle.com/charts, right? So that's, and you don't even, that's available for everyone. So like you can forward that to any friend or family or anything. And what it does is it allows you to see different metrics. So like web traffic levels, like my main thing is sentiment metrics, sentiment analysis, right? Tracking whether or not people are buying or selling. Are they bullish or bearish towards crypto as a sector, right? And you can track social media interest. You can track popularity levels, like Google search volume, Wikipedia page views. And like what I have here, what I have open here is literally showing you what the page views is for the Wikipedia page just for Bitcoin. So if somebody is Googling Bitcoin, it'll always take them to this Bitcoin page, right? So I'll show you an example. So if somebody types in Bitcoin, it always shows them this little featured snippet, and they click Wikipedia. So this metric itself is tracking that, right? It's tracking how often people are searching for the term Bitcoin. And there's like a million other ones, right? So there's like Ethereum, there's cryptocurrency as a category, there's Solana, there's the word recession, there's the word depression, there's the word economic contraction, expansion. All those terms are considered sentiment metrics, right? That we're tracking. And the reason why that's really helpful is you can notice that every single time we have a spike and then we go up a certain level, we're up to like 250,000, we usually peak, right? And you see the Bitcoin. Bitcoin is in purple. So let me remove Ethereum and just keep Bitcoin. And you can see anytime that we have a huge spike in interest, that's when we peak. So whenever we're starting to, right now we've been sideways for like, I would say, pretty long time, like at this point, right? So now that we're sideways, once we have a breakout, I would say above 20,000, let's say it's 17, 18,000. Once we have the number of people visiting the Bitcoin Wikipedia page above 20,000, things can get hot really quick. And you can see that every single local top is right when we had that breakout above 20,000, right? So these kinds of metrics are very, very helpful in being able to.
Sorry for cutting in, but
No.
do you feel that in any way all this adoption by the adoption of even stable coins and the Bitcoin and institutions and governments and countries all getting involved, do you think that this is going to kind of, because that's the reason for some of this late pump that we've had. I think part of it is a lot to do with all this institutional money coming in to Bitcoin, and so I wonder whether or not the floor is going to get higher, if you know what I mean, with with when you have these drawbacks.
Yeah, I think they absolutely.
Do you see us following like similar cycles to the ones we did before?
Yeah, and you can already see that now. Like if you go and you track, let's close this liquidity marker, and like let's look at Bitcoin volatility, right? So if you look at the volatility of Bitcoin, it's gone down a lot. So
yeah,
let me just show you as an example. So you see it. Let me find it. Here. So if you look at Bitcoin volatility, look how much lower it is. Even if I go back, and let me show you from, I'll show you if I go to Capital Market Insights and look at volatility on the left, and then let's expand it. And then so volatility for Bitcoin is in red here. Okay? You see that? So you see how much lower it is than it was before? So if I go in here now, the latest data we have, Bitcoin volatility was 0.19. Okay. At its peak back in late 2017, it was 1.12. It's like a 5-fold decrease in volatility. Think about that. I mean, that's pretty significant drop in the volatility and how violent and aggressive the price movement has been, right, for that particular asset of Bitcoin. And it's even less volatile. Like look at this, Abudi. It's less volatile than natural gas and crude oil and petroleum, and it's less volatile. It's even less volatile than Ethereum, for God's sakes. So
that was my point, because previously, this was all like retail. No, this was not retail. There was it's not institutional. It was more people like you and me, and people buying Bitcoin. The volatility, was not. Didn't have a solid foundation to it. Maybe that's why those swings were much higher back then. So going forward, the drawbacks will be less, right? I mean,
I mean you can see that, right? So if I go,
even with this war thing on our hands, I mean, what has it done? It's less than 2% gone down, and usually something like this would go down much more.
Yep. I mean, you can see that too, right? So you see the volatility in red dropping, and then you see the price is continuing to go higher and higher and higher. Really, like you have smaller drops. You still have significant drops, but they don't prolong for as long as they used to. And like even just look at the last year. If you look at the last year, it's even less, right? The price drops haven't been, they're not as significant they're a lot shorter, and they're not as prolonged, and they're not as violent. So, and then the thing is the composition of like the holders has changed. So there's a lot more institutional penetration, and the ETFs have like really helped with that, right? Like if I look at ETFs and you look at Bitcoin's volatility versus ETFs. So forget about the price. Let's just focus on the volatility for the last 5 years, right? You can see that again, the volatility for Bitcoin is higher than the volatility of the other ETFs, but it's not that much higher. Not like it's really not that much higher, right? Ethereum's a different story, but still Ethereum also has been going down, like overall volatility. By the way, usually when you see volatility drop this extremely and it's to the downside, usually it's a good time to buy. Just like a general FYI, whenever you have Ethereum volatility drop this low and you have sentiment be so low and you have demand be so low and interest being so low, it's usually a pretty good time to buy, like long term, not short term, but long term.
Okay, so one last question. How bullish are you on stablecoin adoption that's going on right now. And I personally, when I look at things on a macro level, and I look at how the world is going, I don't see any way out of it where stablecoin is going to be like a standard form of payment in most wherever in a lot of places that you go to. So is that kind of sector, do you think that has a lot of upside potential going forward? Do you think that's something that we should be looking more into?
I mean, 100% extremely bullish, and I don't know how much more we can look into it than we already are. I mean, we're tracking it every day.
Right.
So we're not. Like Amazon is in the process of creating their own stable coin. The Walmart, right? I know Walmart is not as significant in Lebanon, but Walmart is absolutely gigantic here, right? It has this. I think Walmart is the largest employer in the world. 2 million employees, right?
Wow.
So, and they're going to create their own stable coin. Now, whether or not that is bullish for us, I believe it's going to be exceptionally bullish for us long term, because that basically is one step closer for them entering DeFi and entering DEXs, right? But you have to have those stable coins denominated in the liquidity pools, because right now, if you look at the liquidity pools, they're all mostly Sol, ETH, USDT, and USDC, right? Those are the four most common denominated.
Is that because of the previous restrictions, or is that has to change? No, because now I think they've approved, or I've heard something that they've been approving, like the adoption process or something like along those lines. No.
Brother, it's hard to say, man, because if you look at stable coins now, right? So if you type in stable coins, coin market cap, and we'll go to the category page. If you look at here, let me change it for you. So here, so Tether and USDC, but if you see USDE is still huge, 6 billion, and almost no liquidity trading pairs on DEXs are denominated in USDE. The same thing with DAI. Same thing with World Liberty Financial, First Digital, right? FDUSD, PYUSD. PYUSD is a very good one. PayPal. Ondo is another very good one. But so what is it? In the end, it's very good because it just keeps on-ramping and onboarding more and more funds to crypto. So it's a net bullish. Like there's nothing bearish about it at all. But whether or not that's going to lead them to buying altcoins is totally different, because you still need to then convert. You need to convert that stable coin into another stable coin that is tradable on DEXs. Hopefully that makes sense.
What isn't this what they? There was something that came out this week about approval of stablecoin adoption, or I don't know. Maybe I heard it differently.
No. You're talking about the Stablecoin Act. Then that's good.
Yeah.
That's amazing. There's nothing.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I think that will trigger. No, it should trigger like more investing into all these different ones that you just mentioned that haven't been getting anything.
But that's why Walmart. No, but this is what I was talking about with Amazon and Walmart creating their own stablecoin. That's because of the Genius Act, right? So you see here, Walmart and Amazon are exploring. So they're going to build their own. The only reason they're able to do that is because of the Stablecoin Act that the Republicans are leading. But the Stablecoin Act also, if you read what I wrote on Blockcircle about it too, is it's approved by both sides, Democrats and Republicans. That's the only reason it was even pushed along, which is hugely bullish for crypto as a whole, because it's just the more ways to get people's money into the sector, the better, right? So it's going to explode wallets. Like the number of wallets people are going to use, everyone's going to have their own wallet.
Every retailer into this, all of retail will come in.
I don't know. This is why I'm Go ahead.
Can I? Abudi, by the way, just as an example, because I know what he's trying to get at. As an example, Shopify now allows the stable coins and Bitcoin to be paid for it. So I think that's where you're headed. So eventually, I think that's where everybody's going. So you're gonna be able to buy stuff off Amazon or by using either an Amazon stablecoin or probably USDT.
So this is what my question was. And where does this translate to in terms of specific projects tokens that are on the are available to invest in?
Yep, that's all relative. So basically, the more money you have in the sector, the more money people are probably going to float around other investments. So if you have only 4% of the world using crypto, once it's 8%, so you have more money in it. So it's just going to inflate. But again, there's about 100,000 projects a day, so you're going to get more of that. And the idea is how to target the right ones. That's the whole, how to figure out which one of the investments is the one that you should invest to get the next 50x or 80x or 10x or whatever. And this is what Basil's been trying to do. How the Alpha Hunter is just to
I know all of that. I was just asking a general feel for where this thing is going.
No, I mean I don't.
In that adoption phase, I think right now, Basil, right?
Yeah.
Especially now with Shopify being accepted to be paid by crypto. So Shopify is not a small thing.
I don't see how any of this is bearish, like long term. Like that, I think that's where I'm confused sometimes when people are so bearish, and they're like, "Oh well, altcoins are dead; they're never going to recover." It's like, sure, man. I mean, whatever you believe in, like, go ahead. But like, to long term, I don't see how any of this is going to be, bearish to crypto. I'm just not personally expecting a macro quantitative easing or like macro altcoin season until my metrics like flip back green on everything flip red again now. So it's like, until that's going to happen, I don't see it happening. Like, this is the thing. It's like crypto started outperforming stocks. We were doing well, and now we're back to being red, right? And this is a problem, right? Like, we can't have that.
But I mean, both of these recent dips we've had have been more like politically inflicted. It's not like there's something bearish about the market in general as a crypto.
No, I think when you look at what US did, they just overprinted. They overstimulated the printing machine, and they printed $4 trillion. I mean, it's unbelievable what they did. They way overprinted. Like, look at this. This is during COVID. They went from, right? It went from a very small amount, 4 trillion, all the way to $9 trillion. About this, $5 trillion. So now akalo hawa, right? I mean, now they're trying to reverse the damage that they caused. And it's just a painful, long, dragged out process. It takes time, and there's just no way around it. It has nothing to do with the economy strength. It has nothing to do with politics or the wars. It's just they're trying to erase the mistakes they made, and they way overreacted during COVID, and it literally went from 4 trillion all the way up to 7 trillion in the span of a month. Like, just that's such an extreme. We've never had that type of hyper economic stimulus, right? And then it's been down for 3 years now. So until this stops, it doesn't matter World War I, World War II, World War III, none of that matters. Like, nothing matters until this stops, to me. So I'm not expecting altcoins to do much at all. So even if Walmart says tomorrow, hey man, we're going to create our own stable coin. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to onboard 1 million users. You're I get like, great. Like, that's going to be, like this, that, like, the problem is look at altcoins right now. This is the altcoin. This is one of many altcoin strength metrics, right? And look how bad it is. It's literally as low now as it was back in 5 years ago. So to me, altcoins are closer to the bottom than they are closer to the top. Right. Does that make sense? Like, it's a lot.
That's exactly like I said. There's money to be made when it's like this.
But it's really boring for people. But where my target is, just so you know, my target to buy is what I shared before, which is the worst case scenario, which is when it reaches these levels here, below the white line. So if we get to below 0.28, these are very, very, very good zones to buy. Like if you can buy at that level on this one particular metric, that's very, very good. Like that is basically.
You think we'll get there before going back again?
We're heading right down there, man. I mean, we're literally like my worst case target for small caps to Bitcoin was 0.08 to 0.12. And I wasn't sure if we were going to get it, but now I'm like, without a doubt, I feel like we're going to get it. You see it right here. We already entered it.
Yeah.
And we didn't, in the past, we never had a bull season until we finally reached those levels of depression where altcoins are down, 99%. And now that's where we're at. Like most altcoins are still down 99%. Like think about that. That's as depressing as it gets. But you don't want to buy when it's like continuing to collapse like this. You want to buy, like I'll show you, is when we have some strength. Like we don't have any strength right now. It looks like shit. So we need some kind of, some breakout, right? Every breakout we have is rejected, right? We had a breakout here, rejected.
Yeah.
And then we had another breakout, which was good. This was the last breakout, and we did well in it, but we should have all sold here when we got rejected.
Yeah.
And I told everyone to sell in January, and I didn't even sell everything. I should have sold everything when I told everyone that this is a good time to de-risk and protect yourselves. Because we didn't anticipate Trump doing what Trump does with the tariffs. Like that was so extreme. So that knocked everything over. So
yeah. I came late to the party at the Blockcircle.
You came after, right? You came after.
I came in Feb.
Yeah, right after, yeah.
Something like that, and I those warning signs. Anyway, not to look too much up.
No, it's fine. But yeah, I mean that's my view on it. And I don't see anyone can look at the sector and think long term that it's not going to survive. Like people are going to continue to speculate. They're going to continue to have positions with altcoins. They want more exposure to it. And maybe it just doesn't happen until Bitcoin gets to 70%, right? Which was my worst case target. But I think it just seems like we're heading there. Maybe we really need to get to 70%, 71, 72. And then people are going to be a lot more willing. And maybe that doesn't happen until September, October. And maybe then we finally get to a point where people are going to be more willing to take some risks and speculate, That's my view. So that's my view. And at that point, when that happens, that's when you're going to see the alpha hunters just go absolutely crazy. Because then it's going to be, every project is going to go up like 100% in like a day. And it's right. And it's just going to be like, you're going to think you're a genius, but really it's just because the market conditions are very favorable.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. Yeah.
Bassett, I have to leave the stream.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Thank you.
I wanted to thank you and Rania for setting this up. I hope whoever's on here also was able to get some inspiration. And I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, brother. Thank you for all your help and insights. It was really helpful. And we'll do more of these for sure. So it was a pleasure.
I'll be there. Thank you, Bassett. Thank you, Rania.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks.
Right.
Rania, what else do you want to add? Anything else to what I was saying? Anything else? I pretty much covered, we've covered a lot. So I'm really proud of how much we covered. But yeah, so I think
we're good. I don't know. You have to ask the people on here if they're fine. I'm good with anything. It's good.
Hi again. Anna,
Yes.
honestly, I think they should be more like chapters. Like we've been online for 2 hours and 30 minutes, and for a newcomer, it's a lot to absorb.
Yeah.
There's too much terms, and I got an idea, but I mean, there's a lot of still question mark on stuff. It's really interesting. I got an idea of what you guys are doing. Hopefully, Rania, you will come in and help me more when I see you.
Tomorrow I'll أرجع.
Okay. But I have a small question.
Yeah.
What is happening with Iran and the whole situation now? Why is it affecting negatively the market, the crypto market? And usually, since this is a decentralized market where you can get cash money whenever you want, isn't it supposed to be like gold? These things come up, not down when there is war?
No. So generally with gold, yes. But when it comes to crypto as a whole, it's not tied to gold. It's tied more to stocks. So it has a risk profile that is more closely similar to stocks that are much higher risk than gold. Bitcoin is not a stable asset. It's not a reserve asset. People always say it's a reserve asset, but it's not. So when at times of war, what's expected is you see oil prices go up, usually because oil supplies are disrupted. And then you see gold prices go up because people are flying to safety and they're trying to become a lot less risky, and they want to be more conservative, and they want to be more defensive. And then usually you see stock prices starting to collapse, right? And crypto is tied to NASDAQ, right? The NASDAQ is like basically the largest index of the top 100 stocks in the world, tech-based stocks, and crypto is very, very correlated to NASDAQ, right?
Okay.
And if that's the case, then any type of regional war or escalation is going to make it really hard for Bitcoin to do anything, right? And if Bitcoin's not moving bullishly, then it's going to make the altcoins, the smaller cap coins, extremely difficult. It's going to be very difficult for them to be moving,
So Basil, you think somebody could live off working on cryptocurrency? I mean, or is it like betting in a casino? Even though you read everything, you have a narrative, you read what's going on around you, but sometimes you cannot even control it. You think whatever you invested in is going to go up, and then suddenly you see it going down, and the panic starts. And I see from around me. So what I'm trying to say, isn't it like gambling a bit?
Yeah, I think for micro caps and small caps, 100%. So like anything that's less than 100 million market cap. So that's like the project valuation. Anything that's 100 million and below, to me, it's very speculative. It's very risky. It's very moving violently. So anything with new launches, it's extremely risky. So that's why I wouldn't put 100% of your portfolio in some small micro cap that's worth 500,000, right, or worth 100,000, or worth. But having some exposure to it, I think, is smart investing, right? Having some exposure to an extremely high risk micro cap, project is smart, especially if you're just going to do scalp trading, like fast in and out. If you're entering and then you're exiting in profit, that's fine. And you're not just holding it blindly, waiting for it to go up, right? I think right now, with where the market is, anything outside of Bitcoin is a high risk. Like there's no question about it. Because you look at Solana is already down 50% from its high, right? It's at 150. Its high is $300. But if you look at stocks, right, big established, like sexy publicly traded corporations, those are down a lot too. Like you look at Apple, for God's sakes, Apple went down almost 40%. So from where it was before. And the thing is, that's the risk that happens right now. It was down 35%. You look at Tesla, one of the most stable, projects that was in when people were using it. You're looking at, it went from basically 500 all the way down to 213. That's down 56%. So, and this is multi-trillion-dollar corporation, publicly traded, being held by pension funds, family endowment funds. The largest institutional investors are all holding Tesla, and they were down 56% at one point, right?
For example, for Tesla, it went down because it was related to the news when what's his name? Musk, yeah, he got into a bad relationship with Trump. So
Yeah.
it's all about what we see on the news will get the market it will get affected.
Which is exactly why I focus on the sentiment indicators, because the sentiment indicators to me are even more important than looking at just like the fundamentals, right? So like, for example, if I'm looking at YouTube new views, like just from this alone, I can tell whether or not we are healthy or not healthy. So if I look at this, shows you these are like the most famous YouTube channels, right? So like A. Bennett, Da
Right.
Vinci, Tone Vase, Into the Cryptoverse. Whenever I start noticing that they're rising, then that means sentiment is bullish and people are a lot more interested. If it's declining, that means people are losing interest and they're walking away from the sector and then just not tuning into YouTube channels and watching videos and consuming the content, right? And you can see, where are we now? Like, we're clearly, it was going up, and then now it's just straight down since January, since the presidential inauguration. And because we have literally 3 regional wars. We're literally in the process of having 3 regional
But
wars.
this is the time to buy now, right?
I mean, this is the time to buy Bitcoin if you're willing to accept the risk of having a 20% collapse, right? 20-30% collapse.
On
So-
other stocks, on other trades, right?
Yeah,
Because-
and Bitcoin can easily go down another 20%, because if you go back to what Bitcoin did last year when Israel attacked Iran in April, it went down 20%, right? It went down 20%. So like right back here. So if I go here back in April, which was right here. So it went down from 72 down to 56, so 20%. So let's say where we are now, right? It went from, let's say, 110 all the way down to 20%, would basically take us down to 88, 90,000 roughly, right?
Okay, right.
To me, this is a really good, potentially attractive like buy zone, right? And these are the levels that I would be looking at. So it's like around 102. But the other thing about Bitcoin is you have to be very careful when you're below 106, because right now we're below 106. So 106 all the way to 92 is like a really important range. So now that we're still below 106, we're very likely going to go back down to 92,000. Like that could happen next week.
Yes,
Easily.
we're gonna go back down, but it will not go back like when it was 80, 70 and it went down to 40, 30. It will go down like it's correlated to the high. It's correlated to the high, right?
It's correlated
Maya, sorry, Bassett. Eventually, Maya, it always ends up going up. You know, that's, I think, long term. If you look at it long term, from where it started started at $1. It's now at 100,000. So it might go back to 70, 80 in the bear market and probably just switch up to 300,000 or whatever.
Right.
The numbers are not right, but I think this is Bassett, what Maya was trying to figure out.
I mean, for Bitcoin, but for the altcoins, majority of them never hit their all-time highs again, like after. So that's why you have to be very careful with altcoins buying and holding long term.
Even with the Solana and the other 3 biggest coin under Bitcoin, what are they called?
Yeah, altcoins. Altcoins and like, Sui's good. Sui's new though. See, Sui's still relatively new, but its all-time high was 5.3, and that was just like a few months ago. Sui, I think for sure, very likely is gonna hit. Is gonna do good. Like, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't do well. But I don't know if, like, I'm sure Doge. I'm confident Doge will go back to its all-time high, and I think Solana will. But like the tiny coins, the tiny projects, I don't know if they'll ever reclaim their high. But for Bitcoin, you see, like, usually, if you look at Bitcoin, look at it on the monthly, right? You can see it goes, let me show you. So, show you this way. It's a lot better. So it reaches a peak, then it goes down. Then it reaches a peak, then it goes down for like 8 to 12 months. then it reaches a peak again, and it goes down for 8 to 12 months. And it goes through this cycle every time.
It goes up, a little bit down, then up. It's like climbing a mountain and going to a plateau.
Exactly. Right? And right now, I don't think we've hit the plateau yet.
Okay.
Like, I think we're going to hit the plateau probably somewhere here. And when it does, we'll go down again. And then we'll hopefully continue to go up and down like this.
Okay.
Because the fundamentals support this. Right? People are continuing to buy Bitcoin. Companies are literally buying and stashing Bitcoin in their company books, in their treasury. They're holding it in their treasury. Which is like, imagine there's not enough Bitcoin to go around for that many companies to go and buy and invest and hold Bitcoin for all that time. So if the demand is going higher and the supply is fixed, then the price should eventually go higher.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you, Bassem.
No problem. Of course. Any other questions? I think we're pretty much wrapped up at this point. That was a really good session. I'm happy with all the good questions. That was awesome. Anything else from anyone? No? All right. Ahmed, Mark, anything? You guys held through the whole time. This is your time to ask any questions if you have any.
Thank you very much. It's just too much information, and I'm just trying to think it all out. I'm not new to crypto though. I actually bought Bitcoin back in 2017, and I've been holding ever since.
Nice.
So yeah, but I don't do trading. I don't do blockchain. I just thought it was a nice idea. My sister actually knows Rania, and I think Rania sent it to my sister, and my sister sent it to me. So it's like, I might as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I would say hi to you. And thanks for joining, Ahmed.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. And we just got a note from Mark. Thank you for the stream. Been taking notes the whole time. I have my desk full of them. Thank you for the time. You're very welcome, guys. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Rania. Thank you, Maya. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Aboudi.
Bassem. Nice to meet you. Thank you, Rania, for the initiative, both of you. It was really nice meeting you.
Very nice meeting you too. Thank you, guys. That was awesome.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you guys again.
Bye-bye.